we again. Sit back, relax, we got the brain of band. No need to stress, in the house is Van Bellen. The game is windsurfing, you can't yell them or tell them. We get the news, the views, the win biz. The brand's gear, tips plus the world's best quiz. Carbs, PWA. We're professionals without the pay. There's nothing in pole dancing that we won't chat. From tandem boards to a windsurfing cat. It's your one-stop shop for a laugh and listen. Tune in each week or you'll be doing the missing.
Okay. I overthought it. My predictions were lame. Paul's going to absolutely nuke me. Welcome to the podcast. We are going to talk about the Maui Pro, the predictions we made, how the conditions panned out. Did we get the right winners? For people who didn't see the result, I'm just going to spoil it now. So if you do want to watch it, you don't want to know the result. It's pretty hard to find the result if you look online. But here is the result. The result is in the men, Bernd Roediger again getting another Maui victory, and in the women, Marine Hunter, the favorite going into this event, takes home the women. So those were the winners. Top four in the men was Bernd Roediger in first. Second place was Marcilio Brown. Third place was Antoine Martin and Morgan Nerone fourth.
That's exactly right. Yep.
You're very quiet. Have I got my headphones on?
Oh, you can't hear me?
You're very quiet for me. Maybe it's my headphones. I'll sort it out.
No, hold on. Might be me. You keep talking and I'll try and
I will keep talking. And in the women, we had Marine Hunter taking the win. Again, favorite. She's back-to-back wins for Marine Hunter. So pretty impressive stuff. Now obviously living in Maui. Then we have in second place, it was Maria Behrens. Another good result in Maui for her. She was a bit overlooked in the predictions and she's proved everyone wrong. And then did we have someone who's been on the tour for about 30 odd years? Is that the result I saw?
Angela Cochran.
Yeah, exactly. Angela Cochran in third place, crazy, and Lena Erpenstein in fourth. So those were the final results. I'll be honest, I woke up this morning, I slept through the finals. I'll tell you the story in a minute. But trying to find the results and get pictures and podiums was neon impossible for me this morning. It was really difficult. I think we need to sort that out because, you know, I wanted to wake up and see podiums and pictures and stuff everywhere. I had to find it, I think, on the story in the end.
They're probably sitting right now in Maui, up all night trying to get through all the photos. Can you hear me or not?
Well, someone says your mic's off. Is it my mic or your mic? Hello?
My microphone, is it?
Hello? Mine is working, I think.
Okay.
Let us know in the comments. If you listen to audio only, you're probably not hearing me or you're not hearing Paul. Oh, Paul's mic's off.
Paul's,
yeah.
Okay.
Something does seem strange at the moment. I'm going to keep talking until hopefully we sort that problem out. He's definitely very quiet in my ears.
Is that working? Can you hear me?
There we go. That's getting louder for me.
Oh, you can hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Clear.
Oh, okay, sorry. Not sure. I was just playing with some of the little parameters.
Well, if you are tuning in, we're going to go through predictions. Paul, look at the smug look on his face. Look, for anyone audio only,
it's always a smug look on my face.
It's about as smug as you can get. Look at him trying to
the numbers don't lie here, Betty.
Oh my God, this is just killing me. I don't know if I want to do this. I overthought it. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Go on.
We don't. Oh, we want to get into this right now, do we?
I think so. Why not?
Oh, okay.
Come on, there's people, right, that will sit through a 2-hour podcast. Well, there's also people that just want the guts straight in, straight up. Let's let it all hang out. They want to know, were they one of the guys that got the predictions right? You know, I think that's kind of where it's at.
We've got a comment here saying Ben needs to reconnect and unplug. Is that working? I'm not sure if that's anyway. Just maybe give us another comment. Can you both hear us loud and clear? So no, I'm not in Maui. I'm actually in home here in Geraldton. maybe just give us a quick message. Oh, okay. It's all right, Benny. You can come back. Apparently the audio is good. They can hear us. Benny, come back. Come back, Benny.
Hello.
Right.
Hello.
Apparently it's all good. It's all good now. All right. Well, what I thought, because we had a little competition, we thought if you'd written a comment in our first video analyzing this event, we said, if you can guess any of the people that make the final, you get 1 point. If you guess the right placing, you get an extra point. And if you guess the winner, you get 5 points. So what I'll do is I might just quickly go through some of these comments here because it was kind of interesting. I'll start from bottom and we'll work our way up the list, shall we?
Well, yeah. Well, again, we also, as we're going through this, we've got to say it was pretty epic. I'm pretty impressed. I thought it was quite ambitious to be able to get everything done in 3 days, but they've definitely proved me.
They smashed it through.
Bashed through the men, pro women. I mean, shortish heats, but I actually liked that. I thought the longer final. I mean, you look how many, what a different winner you would have had if that final had been shorter, especially in the men.
Oh, yeah. And obviously the conditions play a huge part. And there was quite a few sailors that could have easily have taken it out if they, got certain waves or whatever.
Well, but Bernd didn't actually make the final straight away. He had to come through the runners-up final.
That's something I want to touch on as well. That was a whole weird little thing too. But yeah, regarding the numbers, unfortunately, we're going to have to start with Maciek because he put these 4 men, but he forgot to write the 4 women, and he gets 2.
Out.
Well, he gets 2 out of the 4, so he got 2 points. And then the other one was David Heavier. He also had 2 of the people out of the 4, but in the wrong order, so he also got 2 points. And then the next one was, let me just get back to the website here. Was John, where are we? All right, John Hall. He guessed 2 of the men, Marsilio and Bant, and he guessed 2 of the women, Lena and Marine, but in the wrong order. So he got 4 points. And then Quake, same sort of deal. He got 1 woman, but 3 men, but in the wrong order. So he was also on 4 points. Then, unfortunately, the next one was our hero, Benny Prophet. On 5 points. So, Benny, I've got the list right here. So
Look. I just have a bit of
no excuses, mate. What's that? Huh?
All I want to say is, as I said the day before, conditions will play a part. I actually banked on jumping, which didn't happen at all. And you could see, to be honest, there was one heat. We've got to talk. There's so much to talk about. I mean, we're jumping around all over the place. It's my fault, but there is so much to talk about. Which if you didn't watch it, you won't have known. You just see the results and you go, "Oh yeah, Bernd Roediger won." And Marine Hunter was first in the women. To be fair, I thought Marine Hunter looked standout throughout. She was hitting late hits, whatever. In the men, I think it could have gone a lot of different ways. But Bernd, as usual, every Mao event, that guy, he really looked in his flow. Yeah. And he always came up clutch right at the end. Like every time you thought he was out, he would just pull off some crazy stuff, like the wave that got him the win in the final. Did you see that one turn at the end of the wave where he basically lets go of the rig? It kind of backwinds, goes clue first. He's got his back to the wave and then just pulls off like a late hit. I mean, that's just someone who's in a super flow state and they're not really overthinking things. They're just reacting. And that guy, I have to say, he just reacts. And he's just able to just pull stuff when it matters every time. But we saw a no-handed goiter. I'm seeing people say that's the first ever in history. It's not the first ever. Costa pulled off no-handed goiters in heats in Pozo. Maybe it's the first in Who Keeper, but not in terms of in down the line. And I totally get it. It is like crazy standout, but we have seen that from Philip Costa as well. I did a famous interview, or I had some chat with Philip Costa where I was saying, look, you know, this is when he was really young. I was like, so what moves, you know, has taken you the longest? And he was like, I was like, asking about how long moves take. He goes, oh yeah, well, yeah, most of it takes a day. Oh yeah, the no-handed goiter. Yeah, that was probably the one that took the longest. I was like, how long did that take? And I think he said 2 days. I'm like, oh, so that was a tricky one, was it? 2 days or something ridiculous?
That's nuts.
Like, oh my God. So anyway,
it's a bit disheartening for us mere mortals. But I'm just waiting for you to finish, Betty, because we were just getting on to you actually. So you know,
I was trying to go out the box. I didn't want to go for the favorites.
It's okay, mate. You can't win them all, mate. You cannot win them all.
I'll explain this. We play this. We have this windsurfing group, and it's got fantasy football, right? So for anyone who doesn't know fantasy football, yes, it's pretty geeky, whatever. But we chop in 50 quid a year, and then we have monthly winners and whatever. So the idea with fantasy football is you basically got to play it safe. You know, if someone's scoring goals, you pick them. Whereas my tactic is usually totally left field and go, right, well, he hasn't scored for ages and he's due, which is the most stupidest way to pick people. You know, you've got to go on form. And I thought it was pretty clear to see after day one, Bernd looked in form. So should I have revised my predictions after day one? Yes. Paré didn't quite look in sync. He had one good heat, Paré, I would say. Didn't look like he found his flow, just never looked in rhythm. And Bernd, on the other hand, did. And we're going to talk about it. There was a death heat in the middle, which had 3 Aloha champions. There was one that had 3 world champions, which is the one before, which Traversa, Victor Fernandez, and Costa. But then the next heat had Bernd Roediger, Levi Siver, Morgan Nareau, and then Paré, last year's world champion, in one heat. And that was the quarterfinals, which was absolutely insane. When you think how many Aloha Classics or a Maui events Bernd Roediger's won, it's a lot. How many Morgan Nareau has won, it's a lot. Levi's won one, and then you've got the world champ. So Mark messed up by not winning the heat before against Dunkerbeck. Dunkerbeck had like a buzzer beater to take the win, which put him down the bottom end of the draw, and Mark moved up a heat into that death heat. And that was kind of like sayonara, Mr. Mark Paré. Could he have got through? Yes, but he just never quite found his form. It was a super close heat.
Anyway, so back to the numbers again. So what you actually didn't do too badly, Benny, because you got 3 names in the men's. You got Marsilio, Morgan, and Antoine. So that was actually
I know. My teammate favoritism cost me. Teammate favoritism.
I know. Unfortunately, you just weren't thinking straight, you know. Anyway, but in the women's, you predicted Lena and Marine to get in the final. So yeah, you got 5 points. So that was your result, and then also we had. I'd
like to just say, apologize to my family. Apologize. I'm usually pretty good at this sort of thing.
It's all right. No, wasn't too bad, mate. And then here we had Old 4T. He also got 5 points because he predicted 3 of the men, but in the wrong order, and 2 of the women in the wrong order. So that was also a good effort. And then after that, we had Sarah Keita on 9 points because she predicted the 3 men in the final, but not in the right order. And she predicted Marine Hunter to win. So she got 5 points for that.
Ooh.
Well, you get 5 points. She got 5 points for that, and then 1 because she got Marine in the thing. That's how I counted it. So she got a total of 9. And then after Sarah Keita, Ian Reed, if you're listening, Ian, you did well. You got 10 points because he predicted the winner. He predicted the second place in the right order, Brown.
That's 2 points.
And then which was 2. And then he predicted. That's right. And then he predicted Nareau, and then he predicted 1 female. Unfortunately, he put Sarah Keita as the winner, but obviously she wasn't there. And then Marine Hunter was in and got 1 point. So anyway, 10 points for that.
I would just like to query this point system. If you get 5 points for the winner, surely you don't get 1 point for putting them in the final. Surely it doesn't really matter, but it doesn't matter because everyone will have the winner will have that extra point. But
that's just how I did it.
Okay,
because I first counted it as who was in it, and then I chucked an extra 5 on top.
Okay,
whatever.
Fair enough. As long as everyone's added up the same.
No, exactly. And then JC. So this is where the points have jumped up.
JC is the master of picking.
Yeah. Well, that's how you say. He told me. Well, he was the master.
Oh God, here we go. Here we go. You're picking first next time. I'm not going to give you any tips.
No, but I've got to bask in this glory because it might be the only time it ever happens.
That smug face is killing me. Absolutely killing me.
It might only have happened once, baby. Let me have my moment.
Just been dealing with a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. Now I've got to look at you.
Now you're dealing with a 48-year-old.
Oh my God.
But we all know if roles are reversed, I wouldn't hear the end of it. So anyway, so JC, he predicted Bernd to win. He had Mark Parade second, Marsilio he had in third, and Morgan in fourth. So he got 3 of the 4, but Marsilio and Morgan ran the wrong way. He predicted Marine Hunter to win, so he predicted the 2 winners. Not bad. And he predicted Lena Erpenstein to be in the final and Maria Andres and Sol de Greek. So anyway, his total was 15 points. And there was only one more left.
Who was that?
And that just happened to be me. I was actually surprised myself. The end result was I predicted both winners, Bernd and Marine. I got all the 4 men in the final. I mean, that was pretty good, except I didn't get him in the right order. And I got 2 of the women. I had Sol de Greek and Pauline Katz. Pauline Katz, I actually sent her a message, and she...
Just to give her some shit for not being in the final.
I was like, what the hell are you making me? No, but she actually she sent me a message because I said, oh, what happened? I heard you got injured. And yeah, sorry, now I'm trying to remember. This is the problem, isn't it? You have all these different ways of, let me just see if I can find the actual message. Oh, here it is. She has busted her knee.
Oh.
So she got one wave. She says, I'm pretty sure it was an MCL.
Oh, no. She's had a rough time in Maui, hasn't she? She broke her leg a few years ago.
She says here, I did it 2 years ago, and I heard the noise. She said, I knew I was injured, but I tried to catch another wave just to see if I could get a score. It took me 10 minutes to go win because I couldn't tackle or do anything. And now she's organizing an MRI.
Oh, my God. That's savage, man. She's had some bad Maui vibes, hasn't she?
Yeah, so... unfortunate for Pauline, so let's wish her the best, and hopefully it's nothing serious. But that was nice of her to share that information. So yeah, so anyway, so that was it. So I cannot believe it, but I actually beat the god.
Okay, well, moving on. That's
are we moving on? I'm quite liking this.
No, I'm kidding. You can bask in it. It's fair enough, man. Like, you deserve it.
Good fun.
Although, to be fair, you did copy my picks. You just changed them a little bit. It's like, you know what?
I copy your picks now, did I?
Well, you know what? It reminds me of this time when I was a young lad, right? And there was a radio station. We were on long journeys. My dad, like, they would play songs from a certain year, right? And it'd be like the 80s or the 70s or something, or 60s or whatever. And he would go, oh, and you'd have to guess the year. So they'd play like 3 songs or something. And he'd be like, oh, I think it's 74. And I'd have no frigging clue. But I'd go, I think it's 75. Because I thought, well, he's going to be close. And a lot of the time, I'd be right.
So you do that.
So, like, that's kind of what I think of you. You heard my picks. You went,
oh, yeah, right.
Probably right.
Yeah, he's probably right, except the Mark Pere one and the other ones. And his order's all wrong. No. But look, it wasn't. it could have gone a few different ways, and obviously, it was interesting. What did you think? I'm actually curious. What do you think about the whole show? I mean, this was the first time that they actually did the production in-house. Well, it might not be technically the first time ever in the history of windsurfing, but for a long time, they basically bought the equipment and did it themselves. I thought the quality of the actual the imagery was quite good. Like, it was actually quite clear, because sometimes you can watch these live streams, they can get a bit pixelated and looks a bit difficult to watch. But I thought the actual quality was good. There wasn't really too many dropouts or anything like that.
I thought it was pretty seamless, I've got to say. I mean, I'll be honest, I have suggested this a long time ago that the PWA, this is not the PWA, but buy their own stuff. But obviously there's a lot of friction with that, because you've got to look after it all. You have to have people to run it. You have to update it and all that sort of stuff. But it makes total sense, because if you're doing so many events in a year and you own the whole system, and now we're getting to that point where systems have got better. So now, like back when I was suggested it, everything moves on every year and gets better and better and better and better. So once you have your own system, but it's got to get to that point, like with windsurfing, where slalom boards reached a point where once the rockers are pretty set, there's not much you can really change as long as your board is fresh and got a bit of spring in it. You're not going to be too far wrong. So I think they've made looking at what happened in Maui, that seems like it's worked really well. It makes sense because all the gear's in Maui, they've got people in Maui. The question will be is if they have to fly this to another country and then bring the people, and then will be interesting. But I think for Maui, 100% worked really good. So just to clear something up, someone's asking no video. There obviously is the live stream, which is on the what's it called? The World Windsurfing
WWT.
Windsurfing World Tour. The Windsurfing World Tour. It's on their YouTube channel. It's on windsurfing.tv. I've got to have a moan here. And if anyone from the WWT is listening, change the thumbnail. It's finals day. You need to at least advertise that that's like a final, because it looks exactly the same as day one. And I think if you're just a normal person looking on the internet, you don't know what you're looking at. It just says day two and it looks the same as day one. And I don't think anyone would notice that that's a final. I think they need to change the thumbnail so it looks like it's a final or something that makes you want to click on it, live finals or something. Because on the website, on Windsurfing TV, it automatically takes the thumbnail from YouTube and does it all. And it just doesn't stand out as a final. Like, there's some pretty cool heats to look through. Honestly, there's some real buzzer beating moments, which we're obviously going to, talk about a little bit. I was half asleep. I'll be honest. I missed most of it. I did wake up, just so you know, I'm on the sofa, one eye. I've got my head into predictions thinking, Mark Parre's already out. I've watched that. I've stayed up for that heat. It's pretty early in the morning. I'll drift off. I wake up blurry-eyed. My laptop's still next to me, hanging off the side of the sofa. I'm like, oh, shit. So I sort of pull it back on to save it falling off and breaking. And I noticed the scores. Bernd Roediger is not in the final at this point. He's in the runners-up final. Or he's just been knocked out, and I'm thinking, I'm going to get my predictions right. Another good call. Anyway, long story short, he makes the final. I drift off again. I wake up. It's near the end. There's 2 minutes to go. Marsilio Brown is leading. That was my pick for the win. Bernd Roediger is back. I'm like, this could be coming true. It's coming home. And then Roediger pulls off this kind of interesting waves. Like, Long gets a hit, then gets like a sort of airy tacker, comes semi-goiter, but it was more attacker, and then lands, and then he's got not much to work with at the end section. Let's go with his backhand. He's fully backwinded. It's like on the really awkward angle, and then somehow manages to hit this kind of vertical hit. And then I think that was probably one of the higher scoring waves of the heat, definitely of the heat, but maybe of the competition. It was like an 8-9 or nearly a 9 points. I don't think they give away 1-9 in the whole competition, but it was pretty cool, man. And I thought he could have won it last year the way he was sailing. He could have won it every year. He's got his boombox strapped to him, so he's pumping out the music, something like, Britney Spears or
Paul Simon apparently.
Who? Paul Simon. Oh, I like Paul Simon. I used to go to the beach with my dad listening to Paul Simon. You got diamonds on the soles of his shoes.
Yeah,
is that a bit Paul Simon?
Music.
So he looked in flow. He just looked like he was relaxed. And I heard an interview with him, which you can find obviously on the stories or whatever. And it is interesting to hear him talk that. If you've ever done any sports psychology, ever looked into it, it's all about understanding yourself and what makes you sail better. How do you sail the best? Do you need to be happy? Do you need to be angry? Do you need to be serious? Everyone has got their own flow states to find. And I think he understands himself better than most. He knows how when he sails the best. And when he sails the best is when he doesn't care. He said something really interesting in the interview, which was something like, before he won, he found it really easy because there's no pressure. And this is really how it happens. I mean, I've been there. I know everyone thinks I just talk a load of shit, but I have competed and not a bad level. And there is a point that when you do well, then the expectation comes onto you. And then you do things differently. You tense up, you overthink things, a bit like my predictions. You get a bit, everything stiffens up and you're trying to think about everything. Whereas when you didn't have that pressure, when no one's talking about you, you're just relaxed, you're going for it. You don't care what anyone thinks, you're just doing your thing. And that's when you sail the best a lot of the time. And then the true greats of the sports are able to get into that state when they have the pressure on them as well. A bit like Paul with his predictions, he had the pressure, he knew everyone was watching, and he just come clutch with those.
Just came out, yeah. I'm the Bernd Roediger of the.
And someone mentioned it here. He is wearing a bloody seat harness. I mean, how uncool is a seat harness? But the coolest cool now. Guy,
everyone's
the coolest guy in the fleet is donning the seat harness. I'm thinking to myself, is it coming back? Is he going to come out with his own? If you're now, I am signing Bernd Roediger for the seat harness. What
about Benny? What about seat harness and speedos?
Well, that should be his next port of call. Cool? He's got the long hair. Imagine seeing that from the back. Long hair. I'm not going to talk about his arse or anything, but he's got his seat harness on. He's got his speedo. So from the back, you'd be like, "Oh, there's a topless bird ripping it up. This is amazing."
It's like those videos of the guys checking a chick out.
Exactly.
It's
oh, is it? Well, we could do a feature. Maybe we could do a feature, dude or chick or something like that, where you have to check.
It never happens to us, does it, Benny? Because we have bald heads. Yeah. Well, did you want to just go through some of these heats here? Just
no, you're the prediction master. You go through them.
No.
I'll face it. What I do want to know though is what I think would be an all-time video. Like if Bernd's got his YouTube channel, what he should do is he should try and get the final and sync it with the exact music he was listening to at the exact moment.
Actually, you know what I should do. Cool. I might try and do a last time or the Aloha I did a video where I broke down all the waves with the heats.
Yeah, that would be cool, man. That would be well watched because it's hard to I tried to grasp it this morning and it's a shit show. Like what you did last time is just an absolute godsend. Honestly, it's amazing to be able to watch it and see the points. It's really, really interesting.
I'll just do the finals because last time I did the semis and the final, but it's a bit time consuming, trying to work it all out. I'll just do the final.
Just do every heat.
Every heat, yeah, from the challenges. But it will be actually good to if I can find what song Bernd was playing, then I can play that song over the breakdown.
But do you not think it would be really interesting to see the moments? Because there's obviously big moments in a song. I'd love to think that for whatever reason they just line up with this. With the hit.
I see what you're saying.
Like he's calling the ocean to its rhythm.
Well, I have to edit it differently because I'm obviously editing it from the least scored wave to the most. It's a different. It's cutting it all up in a different format.
I would actually like to see a POV of Bernd Roediger with the exact tunes playing from that heat, just to see how he's see if finding waves or tacking or something, if the rhythm of the song influences what he's doing. I'd love to know.
Just in case you're wondering, because you're going to see someone walking behind me with ladders and paintbrushes, but I'm getting a bit of some like paint, like fixing getting done in the house. And is
that because the predictions have come in? He's splashing out. He's fucking high rolling.
There he is. Yeah.
High rolling.
No, well, not quite. There's like the ceilings, because we had to come down to get a plaster in here. But it was funny because it was supposed to have been done by now. But the poor bugger, there's a tin of paint in my bedroom with carpet and just kicked it, and his paint just went all over the carpet, and he's been on his knees, but he's trying to scrub it and clean it. Anyway, it was funny.
You've been cringing. I just have a feeling you're a bit OCD.
Well, I was, but to be fair, I handled it all right, didn't I? I did handle it good.
That's a good job you were live on the podcast.
No, it's fine. I mean, shit happens. Shit happens. Anyway, where were we? So yeah, look, there was a few big moments. I mean, the first one the first one that comes to mind is the Antoine no-handed goiter. I'm just trying to remember. Hold on, did it happen in the semis or did it happen in the quarter?
Someone said it was in the semis.
Yeah, it was in the semi. Here it is. He got so this is interesting, a talking point. So he got, hold on a second. It wasn't that one, was it? Because did he get like a 7 for it or something? Hold on, where is it? Well, Antoine Martin. Well, here, look here. His high score here is a 607. Was that when it happened?
Was it near the end of the heat?
Well, have a look here, because I'm just looking. It's got all the scores here. The highest is a 607, and then in the quarterfinal, here he's a 647.
Maybe it was the B final.
Oh yeah. Oh, true. Hold on.
Because people might think that's the semi.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Here we go. So I found this a little bit. This is something different. Have you seen this before? This B final thing? Like, this is not something I'm so familiar with. I just assumed
it's an interesting one. I'm just actually on the live stream now. I might be able to find that no-handed goiter.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, that was an interesting sort of addition, this B final. I couldn't quite understand why that was happening, but maybe someone else out there knows more than I do about that. But when I initially saw, I mean, this is just a talking point, and as we're going back to the scoring, I thought the judging overall was good, right? I thought generally. I mean, it wasn't like there was too many huge controversies. But when I saw the no-handed thing, we've often talked about, throw out a 10 or, throw out a high 9. And maybe, if you looked at it again, you go, okay, it's not a 10 or something. But again, it was a wow moment. And I'm thinking, throw a high number at it. Come on, this is the chance to, put it in there. But anyway, ended up with a 773.
This could be
Did you have any thoughts on it?
It might not be it. I'm just going to play it now to see. Maybe it is it. Let's see if it is. Because I can't go backwards and forwards on this thing. It's a bloody nightmare. Here we go. Lining up. Antoine Martin on a yellow sail. Never seen him on a yellow sail.
That's cool that you found it so quick. Well done,
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, it's pretty savage, that. That was pretty sick.
Well, the other thing too is it's filmed from a drone, which also makes the wave look a fair bit smaller and less critical than it actually was. Can you see that again?
Pictures on that.
You just push J. Push J on your keyboard. It goes back 10 seconds.
Glad you're here, mate.
And then spacebar. Yeah.
Bam.
Yeah, I don't know. Like when I first saw that, my instant was just like, oh, that's a 9, or throw it a 10 or something. What do you think? This sort of thing. I know it's a one maneuver.
I'll be honest. It's this is why I'm just slow-moing it down. It's a one-hit trick, but I mean it's pretty.
But the thing is, they do this in maybe.
I mean, to me, I don't think it's in the 7s, just because again, there's different takes on this. Let's put it out to the comments as well. You want to push the sport. So to me, you've got to be careful about rewarding stuff we've seen time and time again. If everyone is doing one-hit no-handed goiters, yes, okay, whatever. It's not worth as many points. But when you've got one guy doing it, the only thing you could say is on that wave, there's not much risk involved. It's a one hit. It's not going to score big. So this is how I would look at it, right? If this is a long wave and that's his first hit, and then he goes on and even does a few kind of half-y turns or whatever, it's going to score massive points. When it's one hit down the end, you've got nothing to lose, because what you're going to do, an aerial, you're not going to get a massive score anyway. You have to do something big. But he did do something big. So then I think you can look at it two ways. I don't think it was terribly judged. I think it was probably about right. But I could also see them chucking massive points at it just to go, you know what? No one's doing it. He's the first guy to do it at who keeper, let's say. Let's chuck some big points at it, and then we'll evaluate. If everyone starts doing it, obviously the points start to come down a bit. Because they did say, like you told me, and I've heard a few of the riders say this, that they wanted to score wave riding. They want to see you picking up waves and doing multiple turns. That's why Bernd, for those kind of 3 or 4 turns with with a maneuver in there, scored the big points, because it wasn't just a one-hit wonder. They're trying to get away from the one-hit goiter wave, because who keeper, when it's set up right, can be relatively easy. It's almost like a jump on the way in, you know, when it's not massively critical, when it's not, you know, a big throw-in lip. It's like, okay, these guys are the best guys in the world. How hard is that for them? You know, it's much harder to pick a wave with multiple opportunities, or when it's absolutely dredging and they come up and it's, you know, really critical and they land in the crazy stuff. That's kind of hard. Or that Morgan massive one the other day. But this was technically hard. No hands, fully, you know, it wasn't like a little, whoop. It was a proper stretched out. So let us know in the comments what you guys think at home, because I think, you know, I know why the judges went down that route and where they got to that score, but I could also see it go in a few different ways.
Yeah. Look, again, as you said, technically it's probably the right score, but it was just more, it's a high-risk maneuver. Hardly anyone can do them. And he could do that 10 times and maybe land them 2 times or 3 times. So, yeah, and he actually happens to pull it off in his heat. So it's,
but you can see. So, like, I sometimes hate being a commentator or someone who's pulling this thing out, because would I want a 10 for this? Yes, 100%. But let's just try and put ourselves away from that and be very critical, because that's obviously what the judges are doing. They're looking at that wave and it's quite a crumbly lip. Again, don't get me wrong. I am not criticizing. I'm just saying the points that they would be looking at. It's a one-hit high line. There's no turns before it, so it's set up straight into it. But he's let's go. I mean, look at that. And then this is where the points come back.
Jesus, I mean, look at that, though. That's the 5 as a 10, isn't it?
That's ridiculous.
Holy shit. Excuse me.
And then lands smooth, takes his hand off for the recovery, claims it. I'm giving him a point or 2 for the claim. You know, did that get him through that heat? Yes. So it did the job it needed to do.
Yeah.
You know, it still was a bigger score, but I do think some of the better waves were still a bit too close to the mediocre waves in my eyes.
Yeah. But the other thing too is, because we often talk about marketing windsurfing and having those moments that we can present to the world outside of windsurfing, that's a maneuver that people outside of windsurfing, if you're into surfing, skating, snowboarding, those sort of action sports, they could appreciate that maneuver. They'd look at that and go, that's a radical thing to do. But
I think
the only people that, you want to say the only people that are going to basically see that is the windsurfers, us, because it's kind of now, it was a 773 and nothing that special, you know. Where if they just go, you know what, stuff it, we'll throw the 10 out, and then all the windsurf media can go, there was a 10-point ride in the, you know. And then all of a sudden it goes around the world. I mean, look, I don't know how far it would go.
No, I totally agree.
But as soon as you have that moment, and then we've got something special. Oh, cool. Even if people can argue about, oh, it should have been a 9-3 or a 9-4 or whatever. But you see, I feel like maybe within the sport, that you go, look, if you see something that's extraordinary, and yes, sure, it might be, you think it's an 8, but if it has that wow factor, throw an extra point or two at it, just because to elevate it.
Just interrupting, sorry. Do you think we've got too critical? Because I am definitely guilty of it, and I catch myself sometimes, and I have to say, oi, you know, because it's very easy when you look on video, especially us now, and you know, I see it just in the whole world. Everyone is very easy to find problems with certain things. I think we have to stick to the basics here. Has anyone pulled off in competition a no-handed goiter at hoop keeper? I would say no. That's the first. So then already you're in 10 territory. You know, if we're going to be, you know, because you want to encourage new things.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. So, you're basically saying to the sailors, look, if
yes, I was going to say, yes, it's one hit, but it's one hit that no one else has done. If now this inspires everyone else to do no-handed goiters, brilliant. Lower the score. Fine. But the first one, the one that showcased it, and I had the same argument, to be honest, with the no-handed goiter in Pozo with Costa. I wanted that to get more because no one's doing them. It's not like he's found a cheat code and no one's done it, but everyone's forgotten about it. No one's doing it because there's a lot of risk involved. So the risk, I understand why there's less risk because it is a one-hit wave. There's nothing else really on to get good points. He has to do it. So, but that's fine. He did it. And it was perfect. It wasn't like he was, you know, it wasn't a bad one. It was a really clean one.
But the thing is too, he could have done that move and then just done 2 half-assed turns and got a 9-5 because they got,
right.
because they go, because they go,
right. I hate that. I hate that. They don't do that in surfing. And I think I have often thought that on the commentary. And when I've judged before, I understand why they do it because something about making the wave longer. But in surfing, if the end of the wave is rubbish, they just go, well, there's no point. We could all do crap turns on that. Why do I have to lower myself to milking this lame ass bit at the end of the wave where there's no criticalness, there's no jeopardy, there's nothing at it for anyone. I'm just going through the motions just because you say I should. And I think we need to get away from that. Like if that end section has got no criticalness, doing 2 half-ass gay turns on, sorry, excuse my language, 2 half-ass turns on the end. I get a bit emotional. You get 2 turns on the end. You think, why? Why is that? Why is that? What benefit has that got to anybody?
Well, it's just ticking the boxes, isn't it? Because you know the judge will see the half-ass turn.
What boxes is it ticking? I'm being serious.
But that's exactly
is it ticking?
But that's why we're having this conversation. That's why I think when people say, "Oh no, it was barely an 8 or whatever it was," I'm like, "Well, what would it take to be a 10 then? To do that and then 2 half-ass turns and then you tick the boxes and you got your 10." You know,
but
what else is it?
I think we need to get away from it because even a setup turn would have probably got him more points. Like, you know, a not so critical kind of, not a proper spray, loads of energy on the critical part of the wave. I'm talking just a normal kind of like everyone can do them if you're at a decent level turn. If he'd have done one of them and then done the goiter and then some half-ass, you know, turn on the shoulder, he probably would have got a 10. You're right. And you think those 2 things either side of that maneuver really didn't mean. Why would that give you extra 3 points? Like, why? And I think, again, there's no, I'm not saying, you know, someone's doing a bad job here, but I think we need to review why do those things add up to way more points?
Yeah. And I think the thing is, I think people are worried because they think, oh, but if you give that a 10 and then you might have to throw another 10 out, but it's like, yeah, but if you do a no-handed goiter, think, well, what else would you have to do to get a 10? You'd have to do something extraordinary, which you like that sort of move. you'll see maybe if you're lucky once in a whole event.
Well,
Like
think about it.
Like a moment like that. Like it's
Well, you think about it like, and I've talked about this before, with moves like that, you want this guy in the next round. That's the whole idea. He's obviously pushing. So you've got to reward with big scores. If someone else does a really long wave, that can also be a 10. Like, I think we need to be less scared of 10s. Like, I don't, there's going to be pro riders out there which might not agree, and that's fine. But I would say I'm coming at it from a pro rider, ex-pro rider, commentator, viewer, fan of the sport, let's say, which is maybe a different angle to the guys on tour right now, because they are very critical of themselves and they dissect everything. But I think we could if we upped every wave by 2 points, I think we'd be there or thereabouts. I feel like these guys are I said this last time we had the Aloha Classic. These guys are the best guys in the world performing at the best level, and they can't get a friggin' 10.
Yeah. Well,
who's going to do it? Who's going to friggin' do it?
Well, it's a good point. Funnily enough, because I was talking to my mate Sam before about this, and he has a slightly different take on it than what I did, because everyone's going to have a different view on what should be done. But I actually went back to the Fiji event because he made a point. He said, "Oh, well, you've got to save the high points when you get really sick conditions and it's like top to bottom and throwing spray everywhere and stuff." I was like, "Yeah, cool, whatever." But then I went to, but I know, but that was just his view. Yeah. Then I went to, because obviously with this event, they were really trying to judge on turns apparently, right? Anyway, so then I go have a look at the Fiji event that I was involved with a few years ago, which basically you could probably argue has the best, like the most sickest windsurfing conditions you could possibly imagine, right? Like, absolutely video game stuff. And the average, if you go back and have a look at the heat scores, they were averaging 10s and 11s. Like you go through all the heats, they're like 11, 10, 10, 11, 10. I'm like, what the hell? They're master and a half, perfect, like just doing whatever they possibly can, and they're getting 11s. So it was only in the final that 17 was handed out to Batiste.
But you see what I'm saying? If you've got the best guys in the world at one of the best locations in pretty solid conditions, all sailing out of their skin. If these guys can't get a 10, who the fuck gonna get a 10?
Well, that's right. Well, that's the other point with this. I'm like, well, what do we need to see?
What is a 10? Like, is it just like this unicorn that you never get? Maybe it is, because maybe that's how people see it. We should be like, there's a lot of women out there that think they're 10s, and maybe that's what we need to do. We need to lower the standard. 10.
Well, we got. I was trying to think of the last 10. Well, the last 10 that I remember, and maybe there was one since, Ben, because you commentate, so maybe you remember it. But the last 10 that I can remember was Morgan's Wave 3 in Chile. That big Wave 3, right? That was.
It wasn't a 10.
Oh, wasn't it?
I'm pretty sure.
You're right.
Sure, it wasn't a 10 because they said he didn't. He came up at the end and didn't do it. So that you've got to remember. There are a few judges, and some judges give a 10, and some judges don't give a 10. So there has been 10s in the past, but one judge doesn't give it a 10, and that ruins the whole thing.
Well, that goes to show you, because in my mind, I'm thinking, that was a 10-point ride, and now you've just told me that it wasn't. So that's another moment. That should have been a 10.
I would 100%. I've seen some 10s in the past, and they don't happen very often, which is cool. Yeah. But again, we've got to reevaluate what the 10 is for, and the guidelines. It's an
extraordinary thing, isn't it?
Because I've seen 10s for jumps more than I've seen 10 for waves, and that's always been the problem. So when I first started competing back in the day, in the early 2000s, the waves were timed by a multiplication of 3 usually, and the jumps were times by a multiplication of 2. So because of this elusive 10 in the waves, because they never gave 10s, so they already understood that you were always going to score less for waves, so they didn't want a 1-to-1. And during my time as a pro, they changed it to be 1-to-1, which is when the jumpers started winning everything. So when I first started competing, my strong point is wave riding, and when it was times by 3, it was when I got 5th in Pozo. in my first event, because wave rides was scoring a big chunk and jumps were still scoring a chunk. But if you were good at wave riding, it would favor you a bit more. And the idea being it's hard to score waves in Pozo, so you'd get this extra factor. And the same in Hawaii, the same in all these places, the waves, because it was wave sailing, the wave would always have a bit more priority. And then because they were trying to bring in live scoring, trying to make it simpler for the viewer to understand exactly what's going on, it went to 1-to-1. So they got rid of all the multiplication for the moves, and it was like if you got 9 for a jump, it was 9. If you got 6 for a wave, it was 6, and you add it up, and that was your score. So the problem with that is when the doubles were getting thrown down, push forwards, this type of stuff, we were seeing 9s and 10s and 12s sometimes. From when push forwards came out, they were giving 12s, which was breaking the scale, but the waves were still only scoring 6 or 7. So anyone that, in that little bit of an era, if you were a good wave rider and your jumping was kind of good, but not crazy, you were getting absolutely smashed. Again, that's not a bad or a good thing. It was just a difference. So the jumpers kind of did better.
Yeah. So look, I'm sure we'll have this chat again in future comps. And I'm certainly not a judge, and I'm not putting my hand up to do the job, but yeah, it'd just be cool. I guess I'm looking everything with my sort of windsurf media hat on. I'm always thinking of how can you promote this sport, and just throwing out a 10 for a moment like that will just give the sport a moment that they can promote. It'd be cool. Oh, a 10-point maneuver. Like put it this way, we could sit here and argue about if it's a 9-2 or an 8-8 or a 9-7. Anyone outside of windsurfing, they would just look at that and just go, that's deemed a 10 by the windsurf community, because, wow, look at it. This guy just did a thing I didn't even know was possible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Also, I think you can look at it as if they don't want to see one hit waves. But I think when you have something like this, when it's not been seen, you can give it. And then if everyone starts to go one hit, the score just drops. You change, you adapt throughout the. But
why put yourself in that box? Like, what happens if someone goes down, does a double goiter, does a one move, some move that's never ever been seen before, and everyone says, "Oh, it was only one move though." I'm like, mate, you might not see that move for the next 30 years. Like, who cares if it's one move?
At the end of the day, judging is subjective, and this has always been the problem. I've had countless and a lot of pros out there who've had countless results go against them, where 2 judges go for the other guy and 1 judge goes for you. And often after the heat, you think to yourself, okay, it was too close. I should have done this better. And then I wouldn't have had the problem. But you often think to yourself, well, if the 3 judges thought like the 1 judge that went for me, I would have won that heat. There's no way to say that guy who thought I won is a lesser opinion than the other 2 guys who thought the other guy won. And that's the thing with judging. Like what you're saying makes total sense. It's like you've got your right to an opinion. If you've got reasoning behind what you're saying, that's pretty much judging. You're just judging that moment, aren't you? You're going, okay, I thought that was an extreme moment. I haven't seen it before. I think that deserves a 10, which is 2 points better. You've got to remember that's 2 points better than some of the best ways we saw in that whole competition. And that's when it kind of goes wrong, because yes, that could have been a 10, but if that's a 10, all the other waves for me need to go up as well.
Oh, sure. But look, again, I guess it was just that particular moment, because as you said before, the first time it's ever happened to her keeper in an event, just that matter of fact, that's gone now. Like that moment it's happened in history and it's done.
But it's just 7.7 or something, was it?
7.73. Yeah. But look, again, we can sit here and look at replays and dissect it all. Obviously, when you're a judge, it's all happening so quick. So this is not having to go at the judges or anything. It was just more this is obviously, we've spoken about this a few times.
A disappointment from the viewer.
Yeah,
I don't think you would have had anyone complaining apart from maybe the pros, but the guys viewing, I think if that comes up as a 10, no one bats an eyelid. Everyone goes, fair play.
Sure. Yeah, and it's a talking point. Everyone's talking about it. A couple of
David
comments
said,
here.
"Yep, give him a 10." David says, "Give him a 10."
Oh yeah, David's a 10 as well. I was going to go back before to that one. Sorry. Okay, you're moving from down.
Well, just say
freestyle.
It's a freestyle.
Yeah, if you freestyle, you do a move. Sorry, but we're talking over each other. Was that in freestyle? If you do a move that's never done in a comp, you get a 10. Okay, I wasn't aware of that. I have to. Is that true? Is it?
But basically, they've got a score sheet with lots of moves on it, and if you do like a new move, let's say, which isn't on the score sheet, there's different rankings of new move. So if you come up with some little rubbish trick which no one's seen before, but it's not very good, you don't get a 10. You get 10 points for the execution, but the point difficulty is times by would not give you a 10. But if you do a new move, which is deemed to be from the highest category, which is kind of some air move or some big power move that no one's seen before, yes, you would get a 10.
That's interesting. Billy saying he would have scored it as a 9+, and that I think that would have been that would have been completely legitimate.
At least in the 9s, because 9s is the excellent range. 7, I think, is not even in the excellent range, is it? 8s is excellent. 8, 9s is excellent.
Well, that's when you say it like that. When you say it like that, that also it's interesting. Amaland, that was an 8+, according to him. I guess the reasoning is that it was a 1-move wave. Then there were David wins. Give him a 10. You might have already gotten that one.
You know what? Well, I was just thinking, right, if you literally do nothing on a wave, you just do a couple of non-critical, non-crazy, you just ride a wave. Like, even not great, you just ride it. Yeah. I don't think you're getting below 3.5, are you? If you just ride it.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah, I reckon maybe I might be able to get a 2.5 or a 3.
Yeah. But so like the good guys, if they're just on a decentish wave and they do a couple of turns, and you're probably already on a 3.5 or 4. So then you think that's only worth 3 points more, 4 points. You know, it's kind of
that's right. Yeah.
It's got to be a bigger difference, doesn't it? Because otherwise, anyway,
I just think there's a culture, obviously. Well, I haven't been that involved in the judging boost, but there's probably a culture where no one wants to stick their neck out and give those high numbers in case the people are like, oh my God, you've overscored it. You know, like I think people they tend to go a bit lower than a bit above if they can, right? Like
a survey. We should get like the viewers to give what they think, and then the pro riders, and then the judges, because it is really interesting. And I think to clear up these type of incidences or moments, I should say, it is nice to have clarification, because I can imagine what the pro riders would say. I think it'd be very different to the viewer. I think I can imagine what the judges would say. Again, is a little bit different. And then I can also imagine what a viewer wants and thinks as well. And no one is I don't think anyone is perfectly correct. I think there's no correct answer.
But
there's better answers.
Well, it's interesting for anyone listening live, right in the comment there. Not now that you've seen the replay, but when you're actually watching it live, what your instant reaction was that you thought that was deserved. Like I'm actually curious what people's opinion was. Miguel, sorry, I was already there. I think the reasoning about points should be more focused on making the show more enjoyable for the viewers, and I totally agree. But again, that maneuver is high entertainment. Like that. That's a moment.
But I think that's what he's saying. I think. That's what he's saying. You know, it's got to be accurate, but it should also add to the show, because you know, you don't want it to end up with a bad result.
Yeah. So that's
there we go. David's first thought. He was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah. Well, what's a holy shit in points?
That's a 10.
You know? That's a
10.
9.
Holy
that's a 9 to 10.
Man.
Exactly. That's right. That's the thing, isn't it? And I think most of us were watching and going, "Holy shit!" And then bam, there's your. Oh, and then we've got VPR Wave. They do need judging flexibility per event. How to mix wave and jumps, etc. It should just be announced. The sailors will know guidance. The public should too. Yeah, often we don't always, the public, because there's skippers meetings and it's it's not always communicated outside of the event. But when you're at the event, the judges or the head judge will generally tell the sailors what it is they're looking for. And according to what I heard, they were focusing a lot on turns. So that's probably also explains why that didn't get a 10. Here we go. Benny, this is countering. Oh, hold on. So before we go there, Jibe thought it was a 9+. Keith says, I didn't see it live. I saw it on Instagram, but it was very cool. Benoit, nah, let's not ask the viewers, please. Windsurfers have the worst tastes, and very few of them have enough wave riding knowledge. Sure, some would give a 10 for a bail. Yeah, it's a fair point too. I mean, you do need some.
No, but you can. I think it's still interesting to ask. I just like to hear what people think. I mean, I know, again, from a sailor's point of view, which is on a little bit of a different level, but I know. So Antoine Martin, he's been working on this no-handed goiter for a while. If you've watched his videos, he has been putting in the effort to try and land. He's had some big stacks, but he's finally got it to a point where it's pretty much perfect. So speaking from experience, I had this competition in Tyree. We had starboard tack winds. I've never done a goiter on that way, never really tried them. But in the heat, I got kind of carried away, and I just had this moment where I thought, you know what? I'm going to go for a goiter. It was a good section. I didn't have much else on, a little bit like Antoine's, smaller wave though. And I busted out a perfect goiter. So in my head, I am like, it's a 10 because, this is the British competitions. No one's really pulling off that many goiters. It was also for me even more incredible because it was on my wrong tack and it's in a final. So I'm like, absolutely nailed this thing. I came in and I think they scored me a 5 point something. And I was absolutely livid because I was like, they were like, yeah, but there was no turns before it or after it. I'm like, what you want me to do? And again, this goes on to my rant before, which is why I probably got quite emotional because these sort of nothing turns to me are nothing turns. You're not doing anything. We know we can all do it. It's just to say, oh, the wave is there. But if you're not doing anything on it, why should that give you these like monster points? So it's got to be in the meat of the thing. And again, this is not to me to say to chuck 10s at every goiter you see, because goiters are 10 a penny. Like at this high level, goiters for these guys is bread and butter. They literally can bust them off anything, especially if it is just a setup. But a big no-handed goiter landed cleanly, which we don't see a lot. I think when someone does it for the first time, or at least in that early stages, you've got to throw points at it. And then it can be reevaluated if everyone starts to bust them out all the time. Well, if they don't catch on, then they haven't caught on because they're difficult.
And that's the thing. It doesn't mean this is set in stone that every time someone does a no-handed goiter, it's got to be a 10. Because if you'd never seen a goiter before, and then you saw the very first goiter in a comp, then that probably should get a 10. Like, oh my God, someone just did something we've never ever seen before that looked pretty radical. Amaland, at that moment, I was screaming, that's a 10. After hearing Ben talking the wave, it's an 8+. It's a competition. Are you saying that after hearing Ben talk about it, you think now it's an 8+? Or
after hearing him talk about it on this recap now, is that what he means?
I think that's what he means. So
yeah, maybe that I was explaining how the wave unfolds. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. But anyway, do you want to have a look at that once more before we move on? Because for anyone who has just joined us for the past half an hour talking about this one maneuver. Yeah. So if you just joined us in the last 10 minutes and missed the start, Ben and I have obviously just been talking about the score for such a extraordinary maneuver. This one got a 7.73, which was still a very high score, but something that we don't see. Pretty sick. Also, the other thing is the drone angle also makes everything look a bit softer and
totally, and smaller.
Yeah. Anyway, so this was in the B final. And before that, I mean, another moment that was, I mean, there's probably no point going through every heat because we'll be here for days. But the other heat that I thought was definitely interesting was heat 3 in the quarterfinals, and that was with Bernd. What do you think, Benny, after looking at that? What are you scoring it? Bernd, Morgan, Levi, and Mark Perret. I'm going to remove this screen, Benny, and just go back to this one. Yeah, this heat. This was a pretty interesting heat, didn't you think? Yeah, I mean, you've got 4 legends of the sport. Which
one are we on about? We're on about Bernd, Morgan, Levi, and Mark Perret. Right. If you look at that, Bernd Roediger, how many Maui victories has he had? It's something ridiculous. Morgan Nero has had the most Aloha Classic victories. So already you're on to crazy amount of Aloha wins, or even if they haven't won, they've been in the finals. Then you've got Levi Siver, another Aloha Classic winner, and a guy that before that win was kind of noted as always the bridesmaid, never kind of got it together, but he'd always been there and always been ripping. And then you got Perret, the world champ from last year, that is an absolute death heat for a quarterfinal. And the 2 losers go out, no reportage.
Yeah, no, it was tough.
Savage.
I mean, obviously in the quarters, there's a lot of heavy hitters, but this one in particular, I thought it was also pretty rough for Mark, because I felt like with Mark, he was just trying to get into a bit of a rhythm, and then and then like you're in a quarterfinal like this. I mean, which could be basically a final.
I actually genuinely thought, like I said on the pod yesterday, that I thought those couple of heats that he had as kind of almost like warm-up heats before he ended up here, I thought that might get him into a rhythm. And his first heat of the day, Perret looked really on it. He was like busting out 360s, goiter, and he just looked good. And then the next heat, which was looking okay, but the conditions got very soft. It was high tide, didn't quite line up for him. And then he was still winning the heat with like high 9 at the end. And then Dunkerbeck on the last wave, which was quite a nothing wave, got a 4.5 and actually took the heat win, which pushed Mark into second, and being in second moved him up into this quarterfinal. If he'd have won the heat, if Dunkerbeck hadn't have got that last wave, Perret would have gone into the 4th quarterfinal, which was a damn sight easier than this one. Not easy because it's the quarterfinals, but it would have made a massive difference. That Dunkerbeck would have been in this one, and Perret would have been in the next one. So that was kind of the mistake from Perret. And this heat just went crazy at the beginning. All 3 guys just smashed out waves after wave.
But from where I was sitting, Mark just didn't seem his usual self on the water, did he? There was something he was at. You're muted, Benny. We've lost you, mate.
Yeah, no, he had one good heat. That was it.
Oh, you're back. Sorry, as you moved your mic up, it just cut out. I just felt like with Mark, because he obviously is the world champ, and I felt like he just was struggling to get into his normal rhythm.
Well, so, you know what? I'm not saying this is going to happen for Perret, because you got to remember this is Maui. They haven't had any real conditions before the competition because it's been terrible. So no one really got into a rhythm. So that will massively make an effect. But I would also say you got to remember, and I talked about this before, but when Francisco Goya put all that effort to win a world title, it's rare you go and win back-to-back world titles after winning your first one. The first one is kind of like this big release, and then you've got the pressure. Everyone's talking about you. It's rare that people win the next one, unless you are just absolutely head and shoulders above everyone, you know?
Well,
but usually I would say you're expecting a little bit of whatever happens after world title. And then I think we'll see the best of Perret in the years to come. Not to say he won't kill it this year. I'm sure he will. But I think that's a lot of emotion, a lot of stuff trying to win that first world title. And I think it takes you out of you. See it in football a lot. When they win the league for the first time, the next years, it's not like they just go on a dominating run. A lot of the time, it's like, oof.
I think, how much of it do you think is when you've climbed the mountain because you need a lot of motivation, and you get to the top, and then you have to once you've done it, but then the year starts again, and you got to sort of pick yourself up again. Okay, I got to start again, and and especially you know what I mean. It's
no,
you just have
100%, 100%. It's a lot of emotional, a lot of mental stuff going on. Plus, people talk about it as if like. I know in terms of football, it's like, oh, you can hear all the fans moaning that the team's not winning. You're like, you do know there are other people in these competitions who are also putting in everything. It's like it's tricky, which is why you've got to give, and I think people like Dunkerbeck, I think, we talk about him as a legend, but I think people forget how dominant and how crazy that domination was. Robbie Nash.
I don't forget it. I remember.
It's like how you turn up year after year. Any of these legends of the sport where they just go and keep machining through. It's crazy in tennis. When you think how many people are involved in these sports, and then there's sometimes one guy who's just dominating. It's pretty mind blowing, really.
I just have to mute myself for just for 30 seconds to chat with the bloke here. But I just thought, just while this would be a good something you could discuss while I'm doing that. The other interesting thing was Kai Lenny, because obviously Kai Lenny comes into these events and obviously is one of the best sailors out there, but once again just fell short to make it happen. I thought he's probably wouldn't be stoked getting third in the quarterfinals, but he was another one that was. Just struggling to find either the waves or the rhythm. You just have to excuse me for 1 second.
Yeah, no worries. I was just going to say, I'm just going to carry on. But I think on the Kai Lenny point, for anyone who's watching, he's against good guys. These guys are professional windsurfers. That's what they do. He's obviously doing a bit of everything. And I think if he really wants to win in a lower classic, has he got the skills now? Yes. But to win it, there's a lot of other guys charging and they're doing it full time. So I think if he wants to win it, he might have to have the perfect conditions for him. But even then, there's no guarantees. He is one of the best in the world, but he would need to dedicate himself a bit more to windsurfing, I think, to win at a lower classic, which, again, I think he's got one of the coolest styles. He's got some of the biggest moves. But so is a lot of the other guys. And we saw some amazing heats yesterday. We're obviously going to talk about the women as well. Maureen Hunter going late, hitting lips. She's obviously living in Maui at the moment. And I think that makes a big difference moving forward. Paul telling us about Pauline as well, getting another injury to her knee in Maui. So she's going to be having nightmares about who keep her, as they say. Anyone got any other standout moments from yesterday's finals? Really cool for them to make it happen. Like I said, I thought it was ambitious, really ambitious to get 3 days of action and get all the competition in. But they have done it in 2 days. They have smashed through the pro women and the pro men, got a result. It just goes to show. And if you look at what the weather conditions they had before this event and after, they must have been sweating, because when you organize a competition, as Paul will know, there's a lot of work that goes in, a lot of effort, convincing people to put money in, convincing people it's a good idea, getting these permits, tireless, lots and lots of work of organization, and a lot of money goes into it. And one thing you obviously can't control is the weather. And the way the forecast, Simon Crowther, I should send this picture. He said, I don't know if there's anything bad on this video, but sent me a video yesterday of Maui when he was there. So Simon Crowther, used to do the tour with the AWT back then and do all the pictures, done simmer shoots, done lots of different shoots, really good photographer, was over in Maui before the event to, see all the guys training, get some stuff. And the weather is absolutely bonkers. It just looks crazy. And then I also heard they've had, like we talk about, the raining, it's been crazy, but there was actually like fatalities, I think, like people dying and landslides, and it's been people losing their homes and stuff. So it's been really crazy.
Yeah, they were pretty lucky that it just ended and then this event.
Well, that's what I mean. It's just like the only window on that forecast in the last, I don't know how long, was the window that was for the competition, which is quite bonkers, isn't it?
Yeah. And then obviously we'll move on to the women, but obviously we had the final itself, and again, it was a bit of a blur because I tried to watch just about all of it, and you end up watching 1,000 waves, but I guess the standout moment here, and hopefully maybe you can try and find this on the video you've got there. I was about to call you Ben is
don't worry,
Ben. Ben does this. I have to see it again, actually, to be honest, because I was about to describe what. Well, actually, the
last wave.
Well, yeah, I guess that 893, and it was kind of weird because I have to see it again because just to decipher what actually happened.
I'll put it on.
Yeah, okay. I'll just get this out of the way because that was also an extraordinary moment, I thought.
I wasn't sure what they were going to score it. I thought it was pretty cool, but like I said, you never know are you watching the video now?
Yeah, we're having a look. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can use your key.
Needs to push it into the 7+ point range. He's right behind Borzinho.
So two
beautiful
turns.
Tail slide there. And he's going to rotate around, and he's going to stick that too. And you've got to be kidding me with Roediger's amplitude there. Clue first, bottom turn, wizardry from Roediger. Yes.
I wanted to see the rest of that claim because he doesn't claim that often.
No, exactly. I wanted to see it. I actually wanted to see it too.
Yeah, actually, that was okay. So now I'm seeing it again. It's coming back because I was actually thinking there was another wave where he kind of got Clue first and went all sort of did something funky. But this is all coming back again.
So this was it. So again. Just to set the scene for people who are watching like audio only, there's 3 minutes to go in the heat. It was a long heat as well. Was it like 25 minutes or something like that? Or
final? Yeah, something like that.
So 3 minutes left. Brown is leading with 14.74. Antoine Martin is second with 14.63. And Bernd Roediger is third with 14.44. I mean, it couldn't really be much closer. Morgan Nareau didn't have his best final, but still solid in fourth place with 13.5. And this is 3 minutes to go. Roediger finds this and then pretty much just delivers. And this is what they're saying they want to see, which is why, could you have given this a 10? Because you're thinking, these are the best guys. It's not the best particularly, but you get one
there you
turn.
Go. What's that? What do you get for that?
Let's talk about it. Because this is what I was talking about. There's no criticalness there. It's basically setting up for the rest of the wave. But still, it's a turn which shows you're already on the wave. You're riding. It's a decent size. You're riding the wave. That's the whole idea. Nice, nice bit of turn. There's like two decent turns. And then this is like the sort of tacker come air tacker come goiter. It's like a bit of everything. Bit of like an air tacker coming down the hill. And then this turn, look at this. Hand comes off here because it's so onshore at the end of that wave, the way it moves. And the sail is just totally absolutely jiving, isn't it? Right round. Like it's almost like a kick out.
What's he doing? What the hell?
And then just smacks it.
That's a pretty cool move. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Oh, he did the old magician the claim.
Yeah.
Stage.
Just so you know, Benny, that you know how to control it through the keyboard. This is for anybody else, in case you don't know. You know how to do that?
No.
So space bar.
J space and K.
Exactly. Space bar's pause and play. And then J is moving back 10 seconds. L is moving forward 10 seconds. It's super handy when you want to
watch
videos
useful.
Without having to, especially when the video is 7 hours long and you can't be precise on the timeline. Try and drag it across.
Yeah, Billy's saying the final was 27 minutes. And again, if it had been 24 minutes or whatever, 23 minutes, Bernd wouldn't have won. And that is the longest heat. So if it had been the normal one, but then would his tactics have changed? And this is what we don't know. And when we see the scores like that, 3 separating the first 3 riders, that to me says there's no way you can be that accurate to be within that many points. So if you'd have rejudged that heat, you would have ended up with different results anyway. So it was just super close. So it was nice for me that he stomped it with this last wave, because then it made it just clear, right? That was the winning wave. I like that.
It almost, when you watch bands sometimes in a heat, it almost feels like, it's like you sort of feel like he's dictating what's going on sometimes. It's almost like it's like someone just playing with the puppet. Like they're sort of playing
who's
with
that religious guy that controls the water? Moses, is it?
Oh, Moses. Okay, yeah. Because but it feels sometimes like that. You know, sometimes you watch a heat and Band's not, winning. He's in third place. You think, oh, okay, is he not? Maybe he's not firing. And then all of a sudden, he'll just bust out some crazy thing and get the score at the end or something.
But I'll be honest, I've seen him get some kind of buzzer beaters this whole competition, and they weren't easy buzzer beaters. It wasn't like he got this clean wave at the end and you're like, oh my God, just like this perfect wave. He would get a wave, but he would absolutely make it happen where it didn't look like you could make it happen. But he was just like, he's like, considering how he is, he doesn't look this type of person, but he's freaking aggressive. Like he really has calls on this inner kind of, it's pretty amazing.
Can we do something funny? We don't usually do this on the podcast, but Sharewaves TV saying how funny or how crazy did Kygo announcing? Can we go back and just play his commentating, because it's actually entertaining.
The inner animal came out.
Yeah, I thought it was.
He's right behind. We've seen some fireworks. Here's Bernd Roediger. Needs to push it into the 7+ point range. He's right behind Borzinho. Beautiful tail slide there. And he's going to rotate around and he's going to stick that too. And you've got to be kidding me with Roediger's amplitude there. Clue first, bottom turn, wizardry from Roediger. Yes. Unbelievable riding. And Martin falls in shock at witnessing such a display of riding. Bernd Roediger, the samurai, just sliced the coconut into pieces. There is spray flying everywhere. I am absolutely mind blown. The judges' jaw, slack jaw, unbelievable. And I don't think Brazinho saw that, because he's on the outside on a really good looking wave, but it's mostly on the point.
Yeah. So you can watch that live final. It's all there for the viewing. It's on windsurfing.tv on the website, or you can find it on YouTube, but it's easier to go to Windsurfing TV, and then you can even click to YouTube from there.
This is interesting. Jibe
is
saying, huh? Yeah,
you're right. That is interesting. Yeah,
I'll read it out for anyone listening on Spotify. Bant is going for a world title this year. He is motivated. Love his work on the wave. Which, well,
think about it. Think about it. There's 2 Maui events like that, and what we read the other day on the website was the best 4 results count. So 50% of what you could count, you could do in your own backyard. That's a huge advantage. You've already won one. It's not obviously not easy to win another one, but it's not easy for everyone else. So I would say that's a big advantage. You then add in, does he need to do Pozo? He wouldn't need to do Pozo. That's huge advantage, not having to do Pozo. I'm not sure I agree with that, because there was a time where they said Maui was mandatory. Well, in a tour like this, it's almost like Pozo should be mandatory if you want to be a world champion for overall. But I would say the port tack jumpers and whatever have had their also, years where it's benefited them. So I don't think it's a bad thing if it benefited someone in this way around. But if we're looking at it as a whole, as a fresh start, what's the fairest? I would actually like him to count most of the events this year. There's repertoire rounds in the event. So why do you need a discard of an event? Like, I don't think that makes sense. We talked about this before, but I get it. Like, it's a money issue. You can't do every event. But in an ideal world, I don't think we need to have discards for events. There's enough chances in an event. If you want to be a world champion, I think you've got to perform at all the stops.
What was it like back in?
Interesting.
I mean, you're way more experienced dealing with this sort of thing than I am, so I'm finding it a bit hard to make a comment on it. But back in the day, with the, you talked about the Dunkerbet era, the 90s or the PBA, and when they had the overalls and so forth. Like, what was the deal back then? Like, like say they did, I don't know, 12 comps or something. Did they did each of the comps actually counted? Was there any? It's
a good question. I think it's really interesting growing up because I never really understood it. Like, I just understood that Bjorn was the best. Like, I never really paid much attention to it, but because back then the overall was the big prize. Even if you won the racing, it wasn't like, to me as a kid watching, I never really understood who won the racing. Like, I didn't realize Micah won it and Bringdale won it, and I just thought they were always second, but they weren't always second.
No,
they actually did.
Right.
I'm pretty sure they won some years, but they didn't win the overall. So it was kind of like, maybe I have to confirm this. Did they actually win the world racing? But I think they did. Again, I need to check it, but I think they did. But they didn't win the overall, and the overall was just basically superseded everything. So it was kind of a whole different thing. But I guess back then it was definitely points, like it was to do with money, a bit like it is now with the star system, I guess. But it was a bit before my time, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean,
I was doing Olympic sailing when that happened.
Oh, okay. Billy saying the discard covers injury or illness or gear.
Yeah, but again, like, we've had years where we've had double eliminations, and you're thinking, well, that surely, if you want to be a world champion and you have gear failure, well, you can't be world champion. Do you know what I mean? Like that. Like in Formula One, how does it work? If your car breaks down, they have points for being inside the top 10. So I think that's how it works out a little bit different. But even now, the way this point system is working for the PWA, I think it still would be fine to not have a discard. Again, everyone's not going to agree because not everyone's got the money to do everything. But in an ideal world, with all the money in the world, I think it will be pretty cool. I mean, if there's, how many events is there? How many 5-star events? 7? Did someone say?
Well, we did 6? Talk about it the other day. Oh,
6. How can you have 6 and only count 4? That's discarding 2 whole events. I do see why, because of the money and not everyone's flush, and to do 6 events. But I think it should be at least 5. Like, you want to be a world champion, you can get rid of 2 events. So you could get rid of Pozo and Tenerife. Again, I'd have to look at the tour again.
No, but interesting to see how that plays out. We got Lucas Meldrum has made a comment. Bernd could potentially do pretty good in Silt or Tenerife. He would have to do one of them for world title chance. That's interesting.
Yeah. So where do I find the bloody events? It's so hard.
It's on the WWT website. There's you can find it. It's a little bit tricky to find. Bernd's Silt. Well, Silt, there's a fair bit of jumping going on, obviously, and Tenerife as well, I guess, depending on the forecast. But it will be interesting to see how this year plays out, because as we talked about it the other day, Ben, as far as I'm aware, this is probably the most comprehensive and diverse wave events that we've had in 20 odd years.
Hang on. So there's a Maui Pro, there's Gran Canaria, Tenerife, Silt, a Lower Classic, and Chile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, with the best 4 counting is what you said the other day. So you can get rid of 2 in theory. So you could get rid of Pozo and Tenerife. So yeah, Silt. I mean, Silt for Roediger, maybe, or Tenerife, I guess. Yeah, I suppose. It seems weird you can get rid of the whole of the Canaries.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But still, I like
Yeah.
it. I mean, it still makes it interesting as a viewer.
Yeah. Lucas, he's gone to North, hasn't he? Was that?
Yes.
Yeah. Ah, okay. That's cool.
And Quattro.
Oh,
He
Quattro
just signed for Quattro. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. It'd be interesting to just to hear what his thoughts are on that. What do we got here? Rasmus Band could do wave riding events and could get 36,500 points, enough for world champ. Just to do the wave. Yeah. The only thing is okay, maybe I shouldn't make this comment because he'll probably prove me wrong, but he's obviously stronger on starboard than port, so he could do the wave riding ones. But
no, he's not bad on port. I was quite surprised.
No, he's good.
When you watch him in Chile, he looked pretty.
Was
solid,
that okay? Because if
you think about it, let's say he's won Maui Pro, he's 25% there to be a world champion because there's 4 events. So let's say he could win the other Aloha Classic. That's a pretty big ask, but the way he's sailing, you wouldn't write him off. You're kind of like, well, that could be potentially 50% of the points, and then you need 2 other events. Chile. Yeah, but then you've got to remember the other boys could win Pozo, win Tenerife, and that you could argue, well, that's then 50% there, which it is true. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a very interesting world title race this year, I think.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot bigger points for winning than there is for the other places. So the win is big, makes a big difference.
Can you see if you can find that other maneuver? Maybe it's the 747 from Bant. That was probably the other one that I was thinking of, where he goes a bit sort of clue thirsty. It was the wave before the one we just saw. So I don't know if you can find that very easily, but
probably not.
From memory, and maybe my memory is not good, but he seemed to do something that was also a bit out of the ordinary. Oh, there we go. Oh, is this a wave 3, was it? Yeah. Okay, maybe I'm getting mistaken, but
see, that was a goiter into the flat, and again, that's what the judges don't want to see.
Yeah.
Well, not that they don't want to see it, but
here we go. We're looking at. Yeah, I might have got this mistake. What's it? Is it a wave 3 or?
It's pretty solid. He's getting some long waves, wasn't he?
Yeah, no, I must have got that mixed up with the other one. Yes, the other one was the one with the where he took the hand off the boom and stuff. Yeah, okay. No, that's anyway, it was really exciting. I thought it was good. I did feel like, and maybe curious for other people's opinion, but I was watching the semis and I thought, okay, cool. Marsilio and Antoine, and now Morgan and Bant, and then they had this B final, and I thought, oh, hold on a second, but you know what I mean? Like, and then there was a risk that Bant wasn't going to get through, and I thought, oh, that'd be a real shame. I felt like he deserved to get in the final because he smashed it. Well, he was doing so well in the semi. You know what I mean? What did you think about that?
Well, you mean the new system. So for people who don't know, people get to a semi-final. So you have 4 in one semi-final, 4 in the other. And then the winner of the semi-final goes straight through to the final. So then you have 2 people in the final. So in this instance, it was Marsilio Brown and Morgan Nero, which I don't think you can argue with those 2 either. Morgan was sailing so good. But when you look at the scores, like in a usual scenario, you could get rid of that B final quite easily if you needed time. Let's say you were pushed for time, the wind's dropping, you could get rid of that B final and just have 2 going through from the semi-finals, which would have been the same people. So Marsilio Brown, let's say if we'd have picked 2 people from both semis, it would have been Brown and Martin and Morgan and Bernd. And it ended up being those guys that got there anyway. So it's just making them work harder for that thing. And you kind of ask yourself, well, why should you have to do that? But it actually makes sense, because I looked at this and I thought, well, actually, that does make sense, because you have got, let's say it's really stacked on one side of that draw and you get into second place and you get through to a final. Well, you've never come across these guys on the other side of the heat. You know, Thomas Traversa and Arthur Rootkin, Arthur Rootkin has never sailed against Robbie Swift in the whole draw.
Yeah.
Antoine Martin has never sailed against Bernd Roediger or Robbie Swift. So you can argue that actually having that crossover, yeah, it takes a little bit longer, but actually maybe it's fairer. It does mean you've got to perform another heat at your best, which that's just how it goes. So there's something I quite like about it, actually. I don't mind it, but it does waste another heat. And if you're doing 25-minute heats, let's say it's light, that could be massively costly to getting a result.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I guess it was just the feeling I had was, you know, for example, Bance, you know, he came second in the semi, but then he could potentially get beat by someone who just got third in a semi.
But okay. So my argument here is, yes, he could potentially get beat by someone who finished third, but that person might let's say, look, if we look at this situation, Bernd Roediger and Robbie Swift go to the B final. Antoine Martin and Arthur Rootkin go to the other final. Robbie Swift could lose out on a final here, but he might be better, for example, than Antoine Martin and Arthur Rootkin. But he hasn't had the chance to go against them. So you're giving Robbie the chance to actually even it out. And if they are good enough, the guys at the top, they get through. Now, the thing is, at this stage of the competition, anyone can get through because they're all good enough. And it's who sails that heat the best. So you can look at it a few different ways. I think Billy said it actually in the women, it did play out a little bit like that.
Well,
so we probably
but I guess the other thing, okay, maybe I'm hold on a second. Sorry, my phone's going. Is that in a semi, Bant beats Robbie, right? Like, you know, Bant came second and Robbie comes third, but then he's got to face him again. And then if Robbie beats Bant, then
that's it. That's how it happens. If Robbie beats him in the final, but I totally agree with you. But that's just
not the final. It's the B final. No, it's the B final.
But in theory, this is to sort out if Robbie is actually better than Antoine Martin.
Yeah,
because I know, Robbie Swift could be out on his ear right now, and he would never have sailed against Antoine Martin. You know, in the end, it is the second place guys that get through. But like I said, as Bill said, in the women, I think it didn't play out like that. Let's have a quick look. So in the women, Pauline Katz, Lena Erpenstein. Yeah, see, Pauline Katz would have made the final. And
should we move on to the women? We can move on to the women now.
Andrea Cochran would have made the final. Lisa Vermeister. Yeah. So Pauline Katz was the one that missed out because of she bust her knee. Well, so for Pauline, it worked out bad. But it worked out good for Lena Erpenstein. So Lena Erpenstein missed out, but she was actually better than Angela Cochran on the other side. You know, Lena Erpenstein wouldn't have made the final, but she's proved that she actually could beat Andrea Cochran. So it's so hit and miss here. When you have this type of stuff towards the end, it's more who sails good in that heat. So it's not who's better than who, because a lot of these guys on their day can be better than anyone, which is why it's always difficult doing predictions. But it's because you're always kind of saying, oh, he's going to beat him. We all know that on their day, in their most element, they can all beat each other. Or people can have a bad heat, a good heat. So it's.
I hear what you're saying, but I guess what I'm saying is, like, you look at the B final, and Lena beat Angela, but then in the actual final, Angela beat Lena. So you're kind of like, what's the point of the one before? I don't know. It's
competition. I think you've got to. It's like anything. Like if you look at the 100 meters in the Olympics, a guy could win all the trials, And you could say,
No, but
oh, he's faster. He's faster than all of them. Every heat in the finals, you could break the world record in every qualification round. And then you get to the final in the Olympics. And you get beat by 3 guys and you don't get a medal. And you're like, yeah, but this guy's the fastest. And you're like, yeah, but he wasn't in that.
Yeah, but actually the Olympics is a good example because as far as I'm aware, they don't have B finals in the Olympics.
No, but it's exactly they do. It's a qualification. It's the same thing. If you just you've got to forget that this is a B final, a semi-final. You just look at it as qualification. So in the qualification, you need to finish first to qualify. You need to finish whatever.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you get 20 points and 20 points in all these qualification rounds in the lower classic.
Well,
it doesn't matter. If you don't deliver in the final, you're not going to be the champion. It's all about delivering and meeting the criteria. So it doesn't matter who you beat, what score you get. It really doesn't matter. It only matters in the final, which is, again, the same as 100 meters. You could break every world record in every run, beat everybody. But in that final, if you get a full start, there's no discard. They don't go, oh, well, yeah, but he's the fastest, but he messed up the start.
Yeah.
They're like, tough shit, mate. You're out.
No, fair enough. It might be a better system. It was just more when I was watching it, I was going, okay, we're up to the semis. Cool. The top 2 are going to get to the final. And you're like, oh, okay, hold on. This is an intermediary thing. And it just, for me, it sort of broke up the flow a bit. It was like, oh, okay, so what's going on now? Okay, this is
yeah. It doesn't need it. It doesn't need it.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just looking at it from the media point of view.
No, I agree. I don't think it needs it. It could be much cleaner.
Well, I remember when we were watching it, there were a few people commenting, going, "What's going on now? Didn't that person?" It's a bit like the double elimination where people start getting a bit confused and what the hell's going on.
I think what it is there's no. This is the whole event. There's no double elimination, so they're trying to almost
like a compromise or something.
Yeah, but it's like paper, scissors, rock. It's like one bum. Okay, I beat you 2-1. Okay, best of 3. Okay, best of 5. Okay, you just keep going, and you're going to get a different winner sometimes. I have this problem with racing. They think because you beat them in more races, in theory, you're better. But my argument has always been, it's not a better result. It's just a different result because these guys at the top level are all good, and if you stop after 3 races, that is the best guy. If you stop after 5 races, that is the best guy. Stop after 7. The guy who won after 6 is not worse than the guy that won after 7 or the one who won after 8. You've just done more races. So I just think it's a different winner. It's the same in this, if someone gets knocked out. Is it mean they're bad? No, they just didn't have a good
on the
heat.
positive side, there was just more sailing to watch. So in that aspect, it was cool because it's cool. It's another heat, that's fine. It was just more, Anyway, it's What was your thoughts with the women overall? Any surprises? Anything that stood out for you, or were you?
Well, I'll be honest, and this is no hate at Angela here. It's just you want to see the young crew pushing through, don't you? Like that. That's and fair play to her. She has been going since the 90s. Is it?
I think she won. Did she win a lower the 89 or something?
Bonkers, man, it's a really fair play. You got to say fair play. You still got it. You still, keeping the young girls, but they got to push. They got to push because she's still there. She's still there. She's on the podium. Really, I thought Bearings, she has proved time and time again, if it's wave riding only, and her jumping is getting better as well, but wave riding only, she is a force to be reckoned with. She's had a lot of podiums now in Maui, in Sill, in all these competitions. So really interesting to see. She's been doing a bit of winging and doing a bit of, messing around with different things, and it doesn't seem to be hurting her sailing at all. I think she's getting stronger, if anything.
Look at this. This is the amazing thing. 89.
Wow. That's amazing, really, when you think about it. It was a bit like when Bjorn and these guys were still beating the young guys. It's like, it's cool, but you're like, oh shit, man, we need the young guys to push past them. There's got to be.
She won the same year that Robbie Nash won the wave.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
That's amazing.
Impressive.
That's the
impressive.
equivalent of Robbie Nash going into these events and winning it now.
Yeah. That's mad, man.
Think about that. Like imagine Robbie Nash will just.
Well, she didn't win. She didn't win. She was third. Let's be honest. She was.
No. Oh,
But
just
still.
1 sec, B. 1 sec, B. I've just got to cut for 2 seconds. 1 sec.
Yeah. So, I mean, pretty impressive stuff. You've got to say.
No, but hold on, Benny. Just to clarify, this is not third. This is.
No. She was third at this event.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay, sure. But okay, that's a good point. But I guess what I'm saying is, well, imagine Robbie Nash just got
Been on the podium.
No,
I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You know, like you would just, that would be like, how did that happen? So that's probably a very underrated story we might not be talking about enough, actually, isn't it? Angela Cochran. That's anyway, interesting.
Pretty impressive. No, but we got to say, Maureen Hunter, back-to-back Maui victories. Could she make it triple Maui victories with the Aloha Classic coming up in the fall, as they say in America, in the autumn? Imagine that, 3 in a row, because she has got a meaty hit. I looked through a few of the clips earlier, and she was having some good hits, and she won it by a good point in the end. It was super close for the other girls, though. I think there was nothing in it. It could have easily switched around that whole result. But impressive performance. I mean, obviously living in Maui now, she seems to have found her groove.
And also, well, quite a few of us predicted Maureen to win, and she ended up doing it. She was looking really good. I thought she was doing.
I think she was the safe bet, wasn't she? She was the girl that everyone was talking about. I actually thought Lena Erpenstein might find a bit more.
Okay, I thought she was sailing really good too. I mean, she had as you can see here, she got a 6.83. Yeah, but just couldn't quite back up.
Yeah, that's what I mean. She couldn't find that second wave. But they didn't have a long heat, did they? Which I was kind of surprised with. Or did I miscalculate that? I thought it was a bit harsh. They had a normal heat, and the guys had like a long heat.
And you know what? I don't know. It's a good question, actually. Hopefully someone in the comments can verify that.
That could have been all the difference for me in my predictions. If Lena had won it, I could have been back in the game.
Oh yeah. Instead, you were nowhere in the game.
I know.
And Maria Behrens was also, I thought, was sailing good too.
No, she was really good flow.
Yeah,
really good. Like she always picks off the waves, some good hits, but just really flowing.
But look, overall, I know we like to nitpick with the scores and throw out a 10 and do this and do that. But overall, I think we could probably agree that the best sailors won.
Yeah.
And the ones that came second, third, or fourth were right up there and could have easily won it as well. But yeah, so it was. I mean, Morgan Rowe, just going back to the men, he was also. I
thought he was standout. I thought he was standout. Yeah, I think world title Morgan Rowe this year. Calling it.
Oh. Well, he's very good. Like he's good at jumping. He's
actually Brasinho. If I get rid of Brasinho.
Well, Brasinho. And Mark, although Mark
no, for sure. I mean, the usual suspects, but I think maybe not many people talk about Morgan as in terms of to be fair, though, he needed a result here. That's not gone as well as it could have for him, because he could have easily won here and he would be sitting in a very good position, because Chile, we know he's good in Chile. There's another Maui event. He's been working on all the other stuff as well. And I think he really would have been one to watch, but maybe that result's not quite gone as he would have hoped, because it's not a bad result, but when you're going for a world title, like I heard some of the commentators saying, oh yeah, well, it's not bad, he's in the quarterfinals. I'm thinking, yeah, but if you go for a world title, you need to be in the top 3. You need to be winning, because they have massive points for winning. And when you're capable of winning, which obviously Morgan is capable of winning and has won many times, there's a big difference between winning and coming fourth in terms of points. So, and that's just one heat. like if you've ever done competition before, when you have one heat like that, the difference between sailing good in that heat and not sailing your best or not getting the waves is massive in terms of a world title. Because you know, like we saw throughout that competition, if Morgan had sailed his best heat, he probably could have won that heat. And then all of a sudden he's in a world title command. He's got all these points and he didn't have his best heat. It didn't quite go for him. He wasn't far off, but it didn't quite happen for him. And now he's fourth. And that's a huge difference. Huge difference.
There's a comment here from Sharewaves. Angela turned 61 a couple of days ago, which is making me, which is impressive in itself. But then it also made me think, well, how old are the other girls in the, so Maureen, Maria, or Lena, what's their ages, Benny?
Don't ask me.
Well,
I never say.
Oh, I don't know. I thought, oh, you
I always get in trouble anyway. So.
Well, I don't know. You've met
they're
them.
young.
I mean,
let's say they're gonna be mid-20s to early 30s, aren't they? That's the kind of.
Well, the reason I say it is because I thought some of them were still 19, 20. Because I was going to say that means that Angela's
Soul Degree is about 16, isn't she?
Well, I mean, think about that. If Soul Degree
4 times older,
is 4 times older. Like what sports can you think of where someone 4 times older is competing in the same sport? I've never heard of that.
That is absolutely bonkers, isn't it? Hang on, I've got some scammer on my WhatsApp group. I need to go and do some deleting.
Oh, okay. Rasmus was going, women's comp is quite unfair because top sailors like Alexia Kiefer Quintana are unable to travel to places due to financial shortage. Oh, here we go. Now he's thrown a little hand grenade into the conversation. This is a big topic, you know, within the pro windsurf scene. Obviously, you need money to compete at different events. So you're either self-financing it or getting sponsors. And as we all know, sponsorship is it's not in the healthiest place. You know, there's quite a lot of sailors that weren't in the comp, you know, men and women for that matter. Ricardo Campello wrote on his Insta post that he would have liked to have gone there, but, you know, doesn't have enough sponsors. But, yeah, this is, I guess, unfortunately, the reality. That's
for another podcast.
Well, yeah, we're going to talk about it, but yeah, that is an issue within the sport, which there are people behind the scenes that are trying to think of ways to help rectify, but it's something that's not easily fixed because, as we all know, the cost of living is going up, and currently flights are probably quite expensive with everything going on. So I don't have an answer to this. However, it's probably also why they're saying that you know, you just need 4 events and you can discard a couple just to try to help a little bit people not having to travel to 6 or 7 events. It's still going to be expensive to do 4, but yeah, that's also a topic we could probably delve into a bit more in a future podcast, and probably speak to some sailors or people behind the scenes, because that is an interesting thing. Philip von Stern also, let's be frank, women's windsurfing should be much more about shredding and much less about asses and tits on social media. Wow, this is a second hand grenade thrown into the conversation. So women's windsurfing should be much more about shredding and much less about asses and tits. Well, well, first of all, I was sort of under the impression, not that I'm going searching for it, but I was actually finding that there hasn't been that much asses and tits in women's windsurfing.
You're disappointed.
Well, compared to what it was when I was growing up, like, you know, in the 90s, it was, well.
You think we need more?
Not so much in the competition, but more in the advertising. You know, you'd see an image of a woman and she's sailing along in a bikini and all that sort of stuff. and that's seemed to be relatively normal. And I don't know, I don't seem to see as much of that. And it's much more about the athlete and just them performing in a wetsuit or whatever it is that they happen to be in, depending on where they are in the world. So yeah, I don't know. From where I'm sitting, I'm not thinking that it's overly sexualized. I mean, Benny, do you have any view on that?
I don't.
Maybe I'm missing something. No, well, that's the thing. I'm not talking about whether you mind it or not. I'm just saying what's actually being presented. I'm not actually seeing a lot of that. But maybe
I think everyone's got different views on it. Like I think. You have to be careful what you're saying here, but like for me personally, I like women, and as a man,
you love all women.
You're attracted to the woman's form, and there's nothing more attractive than a ripper at windsurfing who is also kind of a bit sexy. You know what I mean? Like that's like the ultimate goal. It's the same with men. You know, like the men with the muscles and the good looks get better deals, and they leverage their modeling side. You know, they're not going to pick me to take my top off and, I don't know, do whatever they do. And it's the same with the women. The women who are good looking and they've got, you know, good looks or whatever, they leverage that because there are fashion brands that want to be associated with that. But it also shouldn't stop them posting them ripping at windsurfing. Again, I'm not the one to talk about it, but I can see why it happens. It's just a natural state of the world. Look at most advertising. You know, you don't really see people dressed in burqas advertising, you know, bikinis or, you know, I mean, it's just like, it's just not that. That's just not how it is. It's just, I mean, that's just natural, isn't it? Like it's a tried and tested way that good looking men, good looking women end up being models. And I think it's better. Like I personally think it's better for clothing companies and these companies to give money to the athletes for what they would normally pay models for. What I worry is that AI is going to get all these jobs now, you know, and they're not even going to pay anybody. They're just going to pay some made up person, and then no one's going to be
it's already happening. Like there's Insta and all sorts of accounts of people that aren't even real with 1 million followers and all this kind of.
I think we just have to live in the real world. We can all have opinions on it, and that's fine. I think everyone's opinions is valid. It doesn't mean it's correct. I think this is what I've learned over my time. I've got some opinions. They might not be the same as other people. It doesn't mean they're bad opinions. Doesn't mean they're good opinions. It just means they're my opinions. And I think you know, it's hard to use the word ugly, but I would say, let's say I'm not ugly, but I'm not a model. I wouldn't expect my ugly mug to be used in a Colgate advert for teeth or something, you know. And it's the same. If you want clothes to look good,
what about
there's just certain shapes of people where the clothes look better on them. There's certain bikinis that look, you know, and each if it's a financial decision from a company to use a certain person, if you're dealing with something that isn't easy to deal with and you've got to get different shaped clothing, it's hard work. So you just pick something that works. And I think that's just naturally happened over the years. So again, without getting too deep into it, I don't think there's a right or a wrong answer. There are girls that leverage the modeling side of it because they know it's a male dominated sport and males are attracted to females.
But who in windsurfing does that?
No, there's not many. I would say I think it's got less, if anything. I would say it's probably it's an all-time low. And you put that together with the state of the industry, maybe there's a problem. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, maybe I'm missing something, but I'm not really getting the feeling that there's female windsurfers.
Well, there's quite a lot of kites. Okay, so
the kite, if
I look at my feed, which is
your feed,
say
is full of tits and asses.
The classic Instagram kiter shot is this board drag
across
the beach into a leg spread G-banger shot. And they seem to be
how many
using
times
this
have you watched that?
A lot. I mean, they do it from different angles. But it's usually the same shot, but it gets millions and millions and millions of views.
How many of those views are yours?
A good proportion, because I got to do my research to find out what's selling.
What sells? What's working?
I've got two daughters, remember, so I've got to see what's happening out there. I have to have a grasp of what I've got to look forward to, what I've got to try and navigate in my later years as a dad, which is going to be an absolute.
But actually,
nightmare.
that what's her name? There's a famous kiter chick that has a bum out all the time. What's her name?
Hannah Whiteley or Paula?
Yeah, Hannah White. Oh, yeah, Hannah Whiteley's the one I'm thinking of. But wasn't she a windsurfer before and then went to kiting, or not?
No, her dad was a windsurfer, and
okay.
then he got her into kiting. But she was quite late to the kiting scene. But she's pretty crazy. She goes for stuff full on. You know, and this is probably what the comment was alluding to. They are getting more attention and more money and more interest when they do get their bums out. Basically, if you look at there's a wind. They do. I'm just saying.
But the reason I'm laughing is because that's an awesome little soundbite I can use. Just that.
Oh, piss off!
Like you have
stitch me up. Don't you
stitch
me up.
No, but you have no context. You have no context, and you just have that one sentence. You will get more attention if you just get.
Well, you will. I will stick.
No.
You will. Like the internet is algorithm.
I need some material.
The algorithm doesn't see who's looking. They just see the amount of time that the eyeballs are on that image. So whether you like it or not, that is what people are looking at, which is why they're getting so many views. I mean, it's not. I'm not saying something that's controversial. I'm just saying the truth. It's just the truth. There's a windsurfing freestyler. Absolutely, she was really one of the up and coming talents. Is her name Steer? Some Dutch girl. She also skateboards.
Oh yeah. This one.
I was following her for the windsurfing, whatever. And then over the last years, I think since lockdown, she has morphed into this kind of skater girl that does, pretty cool tricks. Yeah. She's quite a good looking girl, but she crashes a lot and she also lands some pretty cool tricks, but she wears quite provocative clothing. And that provocative clothing has got more provocative as the time has gone on. But you look at the views, she is literally just following an algorithm. She looks what does well, maybe a bum gets showed a bit, and then suddenly she starts doing all this. And you're kind of thinking, do you want to go that way? But then you're like, well, hang on a minute. Is she naked? No. Is she getting probably paid a lot of money? Yes. It's a slippery slope, though, I would imagine. It must be a very slippery slope of where you go to, because you don't know what the DMs are looking like, but I'd imagine probably pretty crazy when you've got millions of views.
And it goes both ways, because we're talking about women at the moment, but if you're a guy windsurfer and you've got a six-pack and, you look good, then, it's the same thing. You could lean into it, I guess. But
I was just reading the comments. Skater girl is a pro windsurfer. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Again, look, I am not trying to tell anyone how to do it. Everyone does them. I just, I think you want your peers to look at you, I think, and go, they're a ripper. And I think if you get the balance right as a girl and as a bloke, I think it can work out well. But I think it's very easy to get the balance wrong, and people within your own kind of windsurfing circles or skater circles would look down on you. And I'm not sure how I'd feel like that. I think there's something cool to be a sexy chick that's ripping it up, or a sexy bloke that's got the muscles but also ripping. But you want to get the balance right if you can. But let's say you haven't got the skills to make it as a Brasileiro or a whatever, and people are offering you, grinder deals or something. You have to choose your.
What's grinder?
Someone told me it was like Tinder, but for gay people. But obviously, on the guy front, I'm only winding you up. No, but I know what I mean. It's like, have you seen Boogie Nights?
Boogie Nights, yeah, that's a good movie. Yeah.
It's a slippery slope. You know what I mean? Before you're in the car park,
Oh yeah, it starts with showing a bit of this, and next thing you're showing a bit of that, and I think also with this whole. I think
we've reached the end of this podcast. I'm already digging too big a hole here.
No, that's interesting. That here we go. So Philip's adding this, all fair and good, but from a windsurfing dad's point of view, I much more appreciate Sarah Keita shredding an Instagram post from Tenerife with shallow action but clickbait by butt shots. Yeah, no, and look, it's yeah, I mean, it's the same. Like I think there's a line. It's a good balance. It's a good balance at the moment. Like it's kind of like, I think it's cool right now. I mean,
I think to have femininity, cool. Is that right? Femininity.
Yeah.
How do you say that word?
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
I think
you don't have to like completely cover yourself up or anything. It's just whatever. It's, yeah.
I think it's a balance. I think you want to look sexy with the, not in the crazy sexy that you're thinking. I know your mind. I was trying to think of the right word. For
why
example,
do we have to look sexy?
Kiting has got this kind of cool, like sexy image. Like surfing went down that route, and the influx of girls into surfing because of that sexy image was massive. But the top girls that were basically giving it that image got loads of shit for getting their bum out. What's her name? Who's the famous one with the bum from Rip Curl? What's her name?
I know you're talking about. She's American.
She's a good surfer, but she was famous.
Blanchard,
yeah.
Blanchard,
so, yeah. But famous really for a bum. But her actual surfing was hot, and you're like, well, did she get the balance right to get respect from her peers? But she was a ripper, but she was getting paid way more than some of the rippers because of the sponsorship from Rip Curl, basically because of a bum. Yeah. That's just the truth. But she made a lot of money and probably made her life out of that. So you I think really do anything bad. But
I think the long and short of this whole topic is it's an individual choice. If someone wants to go down that path, good luck to you. But I would also say if you do go down that path, expect to get some ridicule from people within your community, because they'll think you're selling out or something. Like that's essentially what's going to happen. You know, like there'll be people that'll be critical of it, and that's just part and parcel of what
I think you need good people around you to kind of tell you, because I think it's very easy to pander to an algorithm. And I have the same thing with videos. I know there's some videos I could make which would do very well in the algorithm, but I don't want to make them. It's not my interest in making them. I actually watched an interesting video the other day about kind of antiviral or whatever it was talking about. It's a bit of a risk, because as soon as you start playing up to this algorithm, you kind of get stuck in this loop where you can't get out of it. Whereas you just make content you want to make and what you like. It kind of makes sense. And I think that's the same with a lot of, again, it's more the women than the men, because it just seems that way. But I think once you've got the money or you're getting the attention, and then you go back to normal posting without this, and you get less views, and you start to go, oh shit, I need to get the views up. And then what? Well, it's a slippery slope.
Well, since we are just talking about women and marketing and stuff, I think by far the biggest thing that needs to happen for women is just to get more women windsurfing. Just encourage as many women into windsurfing as possible. Yeah.
But going back to what I said before, when did we see the biggest influx of women surfers into surfing? Is when they made it sexy and cool. Because again, I'm not a woman, so it's stupid me talking about this, but I don't think it's fucking rocket science. Like, women are attracted to things that feel a bit sexy. Maybe sexy is not the right word, but you know what I mean. Cool.
I know what you mean. Yeah, no one wants to look like a dork.
They've got a feminine feel, because a lot, not every woman is super feminine, but as a whole, women want to feel, cool and that attracts them. So if you're dressed up in a 6 mil freaking steamer with boots on and a rubber hat and no makeup and no any sort of sun whatsoever, and your icebergs floating around, we are not going to have many women in our sports. I mean, it's just not.
Well, actually, that's a good
It's true. It's not
100% correct. No, you're correct. I'm not arguing. No, it's interesting. Yeah, because if you look, if we go back to the days when windsurfing was booming, the 80s, when things were less politically correct and people weren't having arguments about, should they do this or get their bums out? People just did things. They were in their bikinis, they were in their shorts, they're in their Speedos. No one really cared. They were just like, you know what I mean? Like, we're living in an age where obviously everyone's gets offended by everything. Oh my God, and rah, 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 rah. But back in those days, the images was just people having a good time maybe it went too far sometimes. I mean, there was literally.
Did it though? You've only saying that because you've been told that recently. Did you really?
What?
Were you offended back then as a person? Did you go, oh my God, this is crazy?
It never even entered my vocabulary, because unless someone complained to me, there was never a problem. Like, but obviously nowadays people do complain. So then you think, oh, what's the issue or something? But again, it's just an individual. I think social media is made it hard, because if you put yourself out there, put an image on it, you open yourself up to criticism, it's.
Or you open yourself up. You open yourself up to other people's opinions, which are not
opinions.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly. It's just that it's basically this massive hive of opinion now, whereas before, the only opinion you had was the person you were talking to one to one. Face to face, and no one had a problem with you at the beach when you were just doing whatever. So yeah, it's an interesting topic. Yeah,
but I think it's women follow fashion. I mean, that's a general statement. Obviously, you could come up with lots of people who don't care about it. Fine, I get it. But on a whole, women want to look good. They want to feel.
I think guys do too now, huh?
Yeah, I think so. But it's less. It's less,
yeah.
I would say. And again, there's women that don't. But I think if you've got a sport that has a cool image with sort of fashion-y, they want to look good. They want to look their best.
Well,
that is going to attract more women. Whether you want to attract those women is up to you. But I'm just saying, there is a lot of people that are attracted to that type of image.
Yeah. And as you said, like surfing, it actually is an interesting podcast. But surfing, as you said, has lent into that pretty successfully, because when they marketing surfing to women, as you said, it was all about, get out in the sun. You can look good doing this. You get this fashionable elements to surfing. You can buy the t-shirts or, whatever it is. I don't know, like the cool little shorts or whatever. I mean, God, even the wetsuits for women are not actually 100% practical, because they cover the whole top, but there's got a freaking almost G-bang at the bottom. Like it's,
but you know what I mean? Like they have evolved because that's what is wanted. It's not like they have.
Yeah, sure.
And this is what people get wrong. You can always force people to do certain things, but naturally, companies that do stuff to make money don't do stuff that don't make money. So when they produce stuff, they produce it because it's selling. That's the reason they do the adverts like they do, because I've seen a lot of women surfers complaining the adverts were always kind of fashion and this and this, but that's what was selling for the company. So if they're the ones making the money and they're the ones selling a lot of fashion off the back of it, that's where they're going to angle the things. With men are a lot more, again, this is not every woman and every man. You have to always say that these days, because people say, oh, well, I'm not like that. You're like, okay, fair enough. But on a whole, men are quite into different things that women are into. That's just how it is. Look at sport. How many people, how many women actually watch sport? Yes, there are a good chunk, but the majority do not. The majority of men do. There are men that don't, but the majority, you have to look at the majorities, and that's where the companies that making money and want to make money and want to put money in are going to be looking at where they can do it. You can force them to do things, whatever, but it will naturally come back. Like, I know I've got 2 daughters. You can say what you want, right? They're attracted to pink. It's like you can put them in any other color. They love pink. They love unicorns. They love princesses. And I have done nothing to angle that way. They just love it. And you're thinking it's inbuilt. There must be some inbuiltness to some of this, whatever. Like we've naturally evolved like we've evolved. You can try and change stuff, but there is hundreds and hundreds of years of this, thousands of years of molding certain things in your brain of the way they fire up and the way they work.
Yeah. I know for sure. This is Paul. There's a comment here. Thomas, Paul, who is the attractive windsurfing babe at the poster of your wall? I actually have a female friend artist, in case anyone's wondering, and it kind of looks like one of these AI images, but she actually painted it. That's not the original. That's a print. But she's a female artist, and I just said, look, I want to have an image of a female windsurfer, I didn't tell her what she had to wear, but she just went online and typed in women windsurfing. And when you type in that into Google, a lot of the images are from the 80s and stuff as well. You know, women just wearing one-piece swimsuits or whatever. And she basically made art out of that. So I thought it was pretty cool. What's here? There's a few comments here, Benny. This topic we've sort of gone completely off the event here, but that's all right. Philip Vonstern, what Paul just said connects perfectly to Rasmus' comments. If the top competitors like Alexia Kiefer, Quintana can't take part because sponsorship favors fashion and so on, this isn't professional.
No, but that does it. That's not true. Like there is no, the women that are taking part, they're not paid for because they're getting lots of money from fashion. I mean, nobody's getting paid hardly anything. The problem is the state of windsurfing. And let's be realistic with it. At the moment, it's hard to be sustained as a professional sport, whether you're in the men or the women. There is only a few other guys that are making enough money from windsurfing, and it's a few to make a proper lifestyle. And when I mean a proper lifestyle, I mean paying a mortgage, paying for a family, paying for, like as a normal life. These days, you all know, you have to earn quite a lot of money to have a normal life. So you can imagine if you are a professional, that means you've got to travel around the world to all these competitions, which is, do it. You also have to have a house somewhere, a car somewhere, and have a life when you come back. I don't know many that are able to sustain a life like that from just windsurfing. And
it's hard enough to
just riding.
It's hard enough to sustain that lifestyle just having a regular job.
Exactly. So you think how much you've got to do to have a normal house, normal life, live a life. And then you throw in, you're going to Maui, you got to do some training, you got to go to these other events. I mean, it is so difficult. Again, I've talked about this before, and it's just the reality. We're not like trying not to sugarcoat it, but I'm also not trying to put like a doomsday sort of thing about it, because windsurfing is still, for me, the best sport in the world. It offers so much more, but it is becoming unsustainable to be a professional windsurfer. You can still do the competitions, you can still do it, but as a semi-professional where you are working in the side grounds. Mark Paré, world champion last year, he is fully working in development for Simmer, going to the factory. He's been in China this year. He's doing designs. He's working on testing as well as competing and going for a world title. So, unless you've got a chunk of money, you've got, your already house is paid for, maybe you've got passed down in the family, you've had a bit of help early on, and you're just, kind of stabilizing yourself with a bit of income from windsurfing, it is very difficult. Gone are the days where some kid from Venezuela is going to be found and then paid to do the tour and create a life for themselves. This isn't there anymore. And we just have to be, live in the real world with this. And a lot of the guys have got a job alongside what they're doing. Ricardo Campello, we've seen it so many times, him every year. I haven't got a sponsor, but he's also not exactly at the early stage of his career. He's not letting it all hang out. Probably some of the money he got from the Garricks and all this money sponsorship, he could have saved a bit. If he'd really wanted to do the tour, he probably could have, but he doesn't want to spend his own money, and that's fair enough. That's up to him. Will someone chip in some more money for get him to Pozo? Maybe, and that's probably what he's angling for. But I don't think, he's got a new kid. He's got a family. He's been in Venezuela. I've seen him. He's been foil dinging. He's been in his boat. He's living his life, but he's not he's early stage hungry, wanting to be world champion. That's where he's not, because if he was, he has enough money to get to Maui. is it nice to spend your own money trying to do that? Maybe not. Maybe, you know, he's had so many years of getting sponsored that it probably feels wrong and he doesn't want to do it because he knows he's going to benefit the brands that he's on and all that. I get it. I totally get it. But let's not mistake. If he really wanted to be there, if he really wanted to, you could sleep on someone's floor. You know, like, I'm not saying he should do these things. I'm saying if you really want it, you could. So these are always the questions that normal people I've seen in the comments asking this to me and sending me messages. Ben, you know, why? How? I'm like, okay, he's asking every year. Why is someone not sponsoring? You have to ask those questions. They're just real questions we have to ask. Okay, why isn't someone sponsoring? It's not that no one knows he needs a sponsor. Well, you know, why? And I think maybe it's worth getting him on a podcast to ask him, because a lot of people are asking me these questions. Like, don't ask me, ask him. You know, I'm not him. I just know if he was 20 and he had the talent and he wants to be a world champion, he'd probably be in Maui. He'd find a way. You find a way. But he's at a different stage of his life and he's done the hard work and he goes, no, if I'm going to do it, it's going to, you know, and he doesn't want handouts. That's what he said. I remember reading that as well. You know, I don't want a GoFundMe page. He said, I'm going to offer something which to a sponsor is valuable, and I'll rather be paid for what I'm going to offer.
So if Ricardo got his tits and ass out, do you think that'd help him or?
100%. No, but going back to that, there's no one in windsurfing that I know getting paid good money like they do in kiting to get any sort of scantily clad pictures or do anything crazy.
Have you tried, Benny?
I've tried. Maybe you should try. My nipples are too big, apparently.
It's probably an audience for you somewhere, mate. I'm sure we could find them. Especially for bearded guys, you know, there's a sort of niche in the market. What do we got else here? We've got hold on. We've got someone pushing back. Ben, wow, you're absolutely insane on that one, Ben. I'm not sure which one I'm talking about. How many young girls do you think picked up skateboarding because of Surfster, the Dutch girl, versus actual pro female skateboarders like Nora Vasconcelos and many others?
What does that mean? What do you mean absolutely insane on that?
Oh, no, I think it was related
I never said skating. That was not what I didn't really.
Oh, no, it was probably
I bet you there's a lot of girls that have got into skating for longboarding and being cool. And, you know, like, I'm not saying this is why I'm not talking about professional, the professional side of it, you know, because the hardcore skate chicks are not that type of girl you're talking about. I'm talking about the ones that want to skateboard. They want to go down the beach with a surfboard. They want to be cool. Like, again, I'm not saying I agree with it. Again, I've got 2 daughters. I understand how it works and what's attractive to certain types of women. Are we talking about the hardcore? No, I'm not talking about those. That's not what I'm talking about. But if you have this very grungy, dark, dirty image, it's not going to attract women. Surely you must understand that. It doesn't. It doesn't attract women. I'm not saying I'm talking at 2 total different ends of the spectrum is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, you know, again, you could take all this out of context. You could clip up.
And I will. Don't worry.
And I will sound like an absolute idiot. But,
no, Betty, we get it, mate.
I'm pretty sure anyone who's listening to the podcast knows I'm not talking rubbish. It's like I don't make the rules. I just you could just see where the eyes are, where the thing is followed. No one's controlling it. People, you know, the things follow the money. You know, like it just.
Well, the problem with this subject is we could sit here and say tits and bums don't actually sell anything, and of course we know that that's just not true. There's certain things. I mean, the old adage, sex sells. It works for certain things.
Yes,
like I said before, it's up to the person whether they want to engage in it or not. You know?
I'm also not
to.
saying getting your bum out. I'm not talking about like G-bangers. Like, I'm talking about just looking good, looking fashionable, looking like whatever that kind of cool, sexy
sure.
image is.
Well, that's true. Yeah, just fashionable
This
stuff.
is what I mean, is more appealing. And the same with guys. There's a cool looking guy and there's cool groups to be in. There's different things that attract certain things. Again, it's fashion, just normal fashion. You know, big baggy jeans is fashionable now.
Well, look at windsurfing gear. I mean, I don't know how many people out there choose gear on what they think looks cool, but I think that the brands put a fair bit of effort in trying to make their gear look as sexy as possible. You know what I mean? Like, don't they? I mean, you want to buy gear that you like, and obviously there might be a board you go, I don't care what it looks like as long as it shreds. But in a lot of ways, when people go into the windsurf shop and roll out a sale, they want something that looks cool, don't they? Yeah. I mean, it's just fashion. It's just, and colors are very important, you know, like what color you like. And yeah, I get that.
Let's just round it up, finish it off, because I think what I don't agree with is someone is saying Alexia Kiefer isn't there because she's not doing stuff to get money from being whatever. I don't know. That's what the comp was. And I don't think there's anyone on the tour getting money for that. Like, everyone on the tour has found a way to make it work, whether that is, you know, helping out from sponsors or friends, or like I've used this with guys. When you say it with girls, it will sound worse. Sugar daddies. But when I say windsurfing sugar daddies, what I'm talking about is someone who's made good for themselves. They're keen on windsurfing and they want to help out another windsurfer. So don't take that as the real version of sugar daddy, because I know that gets totally taken out of proportion. But, you know, when I say that, I've seen it with slalom racers. There's been a guy, let's say, made a lot of money for himself, really into slalom racing, and they know a local slalom racer at their local beach, and they think, wow, this guy's helping me, he's giving him tips, and they chuck him some money as a sponsorship, but they're not giving that money as a way to, as an advertisement, as marketing. They're not trying to get more money back. They're doing it as a goodwill gesture, as a support. So that's what I mean when I say a sugar daddy. And there are a few in windsurfing, you know. I would say Simeon has been a bit of a sugar daddy for the IWT in the past. He's chipped money in to make things happen, you know, and it sometimes goes unnoticed, but, you know, that has happened. So there is a bit of that going on. And then obviously the brands are paying certain much, but that obviously is shrunk because windsurfing gear is not selling as much because we've been, you know, it's been split up into winging, into kiting, into surfing, into people getting older, people having kids. So there's definitely selling less. I think wave sailing has kind of maybe held the line a bit, but maybe the free ride stuff has dropped a little bit. So that's obviously took its toll on racing, which I guess we'll find out in the next years of how that works. The national tours have gone down, but don't get me wrong. There is no one I can think of in windsurfing, and correct me if I'm wrong, that is sold out and is getting the, you know, kit off and getting loads of money from OnlyFans or something. It might be happening in skating, in surfing, in kiting, but as far as I know, I don't know one person.
Yeah, so you're saying there's a gap in the market. There's someone. I think I was laughing because I'm reading through the comments, and here we go. This comment here. Sex sells, so we need more tits and asses on the water. Look what you started, Betty. Oh. Mate, this podcast, this is going to go viral in the windsurf community.
It's not going to go viral. You just, what? You could easily take so many things I've said now, and I'll be cancelled by the morning. But if you listen to it as a whole.
I mean, I don't even have to take it. I just take it literally. It's all good. It's, we don't even have to. No. It's an interesting topic. But sorry, I know you probably think, let's move on. But I'm actually watching our viewer numbers go up, and I feel like people are invested in this a little bit now.
People.
Well, we started at like 25, so it's on the way up. No, but the thing is, what we got here, so people are obviously listening, so we might as well just address some of these comments here. Okay, so one here. Should you try asking some younger generations? From my point of view, a guy like you in his 40s that was raised in different correctness environments, it might be different for Mark, Lucas, or Liam.
What am I saying? Sorry, what am I saying? Which that's in relation to?
Just your point of view, I guess.
On
I don't know. Oh, the political correctness thing. I'm not sure.
Which political correctness thing?
I don't know. I didn't make the comment. You have to ask.
No, I mean, I'm asking him. That's what I'm saying. I can't really.
Yeah.
I can't really ask because I'm not speaking to him. But
maybe
I'll be interested to know exactly what point I've made, which you think is not. And I totally get you. I am old. I'm 48. Like for sure, I grew up in a whole different era, and I've watched it. But what I'm talking about is what I see as a commentator, as a windsurfer, as someone who's involved with windsurfing media, and you watch a lot of videos, you watch a lot of social media, you get sent videos, you see where the money's going, you see, that's what I'm viewing it on. I'm not viewing it on my opinion. Like my opinion with 2 daughters might be different to what I'm saying. What I'm saying is what I see happening. So this isn't an opinion. Wait, I guess it is an opinion, but I'm basing it on what I'm actually seeing, not what I think. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's interesting discussion. Hang on. He said women and bums, but what specifically? What my opinion on women?
Which comment?
Bums? I'd like to know exactly. I want to know what you mean. Are you're saying that people aren't attracted to women's bums? Is that what you mean? I just need to clarify what exactly he means by.
I love this guy. This conversation's awesome. So we're now having a conversation.
No, generally, because if he's saying like the younger generation are not attracted to women's bums. Younger generations are looking differently on those.
They hate bums. So the younger generation hate bums now.
I know Mark pretty well.
Does he like a bum?
I'm not commenting on that. We have to ask him. But I know pretty much all those younger generation. I'm like the old.
Oh, they're worse. We're the good guys here. Mate, we're the good guys.
They got Tinder. They got.
It's the younger generation is the problem.
They're blooming crazy. You got no.
We're angels.
Honestly,
you're in a committed relationship, and those guys are just chasing bums. So I don't know what the problem is. I mean, we're the good guys here.
It's just less talked about now because you're not allowed to. But when you hang around with these guys, I'm not calling out any names here.
Rasmus, Billy made a good comment. Bernd also ride the sexy looks train. People want to associate with sexy stuff. Make windsurfing sexy again. I'm not saying X-rated. You don't take me out of context. I'm saying sexy is in like there's an attractive thing. Something's attractive.
But sexy, back when I was younger, sexy wasn't like sexy. It means like I could say my board looks sexy. Like it looks a bit hot.
Exactly. We're not actually talking about sex itself. It's just more something that is appealing for some reason.
But,
Yeah. But it's funny as well because for some reason, I mean, windsurfing is a small sport and we're obviously grappling with sponsorship. Oh, how can we do it and stuff? I don't think a windsurfing guy or a girl for that matter, all of a sudden wearing a bikini or a little Speedo shorts, all of a sudden going to get them all sponsored up and stuff, right? It's not really going to make any difference, right? But obviously in bigger sports, like, we always go back to Formula One. But they spend a lot of time in Formula One, I've noticed. Here comes Lewis Hamilton. He looks like he's just walked off a catwalk because he's in some fashionable attire. And there's some other driver who's dating the hottest chick. And they put shitloads of sexiness into sports like Formula One. That's a huge part of the culture of that, like marketing that sport, isn't it? And obviously lots of other sports. So they lean into it. Like basically they just lean heavily into it.
Because if he turns up in some shit ass clothes looking like a drag, how is he going to sell anything? So like when you're worth that much money, he can get paid from aftershave. He can get paid from sunglasses. He can get paid from clothing. He can get paid by all these other things. So it's in his interests to be the best version of what he can promote. So if he looks cool, he gets all this extra stuff,
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's it's interesting. Now we've got a comment here. So, sorry, this is your mate again, Benny. No, I don't agree. Being a professional athlete is not the same as having a regular job. You're limited in the number of years that you can work, and
Totally
then you're
agree.
not really qualified to any other job.
But what don't I agree with there? I agree with that.
I don't know. We'll move on then.
No, but I mean, I'm really interested because I feel like he's got like this image that I'm saying something which he's not saying, but I agree with that. Like the problem is, as I said, in windsurfing, it is very, very hard to be a professional at the moment. It's just a reality. It's not my opinion. It's the reality of the money that is within windsurfing. You know, you have to find money from somewhere else if you want to windsurf. And a lot of the guys are working within the industry. So they're professionals, but they're also working their butt off in the other side of it. You know, back in the day, you could go windsurfing and that would be it. You know, like footballers nowadays, they go play football and they don't have to worry about anything else apart from social media and getting, you know, shit abuse on everything. But they can literally just play football and they've got other people letting them do that. That's amazing. If you're in that position to be able to do that windsurfing now, wow, well done. Because that is amazing to be able to do that. Most people are not in that position. So they are looking at trying to make money in elsewhere. But that's got nothing to do with the sexy bit what we were talking about before, but that's just the reality. I'm not sure where I don't agree with that. I agree with
that. Goes on. So as a professional athlete, you have to be able to secure your future, and you need to earn really much more than a regular person working 9 to 5.
Yeah, but you're in windsurf. I said to you, like, this is what I don't really know where I don't agree with this. I totally agree. But the reality is you can't do that in windsurfing. It's just not, you're not able to do it. So it's a passion. If you're a professional windsurfer, you got to live in the real world. I don't like saying this because there might be young people listening. I hope not, but it might put them off. And this is why we're going to have less people, because when I was younger, I would look at the pros and I would look at the lifestyle they were leading. And it was the parties and the this and winning. And, you know, I thought, wow, what a life that is. And this was one of the motivations. Plus, I loved windsurfing. But having this lifestyle and being able to go windsurfing in all these places, I wasn't really thinking about the money when I tried to be a professional. I was just thinking, I want to do that. And I would do whatever it took to do that. So like most windsurfers, they were living on floors, they were sharing hostels, they were, you know, doing everything. Nowadays, I see some of these kids and they're all got their own houses, they've got driving their old cars. We were driving around in some beat up like $200 Cadillac in Maui and living on the floor in cockroach like place in the middle of some horrible steezy joint. So, you know, like again,
standards have gone up.
Yeah, well, it does feel like that. And I think it might be because the only way to make it now is if you've already got a bit of money. If you haven't got a bit of money or a bit of family support, how do you even get the leg in? Because, you know, you imagine trying to break onto the tour now, you would have to show some skills for a brand to be interested, and then you've got to do the tour. So how do you do that without any money at all? You can't. That's what I was saying. It's really hard now to be a Goito Estrado or one of these freestyle kids and just break in just on pure skill. It really has changed massively.
Yeah, no, it's David wins. Are the sponsors paying for travel at all?
Well, again, depends on your contract and depends who you are. You know, Marsilio Brown, Mark Paré, the top guys in the world, they will have, you know, different sponsors have different budgets. Some people get a lump sum of money. Some people get a monthly, like a salary. Some people get paid per event. Some people are on bonuses. Some people are on gear. Some people, you know, there's lots of different ways of doing it. But what I can tell you is these deals have all got less and some people have not been renewed, which is why you're seeing people moving around sponsorships. And people being let go of, you know. I mean, Antoine Albo, he's not sponsored by Neil Pride. I didn't see that ever happening. I thought he'd be on Neil Pride till the end. you know?
Yeah.
So it's happening everywhere. This is not me making this up. This is not my opinion. This is the facts of what is happening. It's difficult, you know? People are they're trying to make this tour because they want to make it appealing to the outside sponsors looking in. They don't want to see a world tour where there's 2 events, because that's not a world tour to a big sponsor. They want to see it. The problem is, to do a big tour, you need money to do a big tour. So it's like this chicken and an egg. We've got to show the outside world that we've got this tour and we're going to all these cool places and that windsurfing's amazing, but you need the riders to be able to do the tour. It's difficult. It's really difficult.
There's quite a few comments here. I'll try to just get through some of them. Well, Billy says the underlying issue is that windsurf gear is not selling.
It's true. That's just reality. Like, wingings come in, and my opinion on this, again, don't know, but a lot of windsurfers got into winging, so they put where they spent their money was on their winging stuff, because they already had windsurfing stuff. Whereas usually I think they would upgrade their windsurfing stuff every couple of years. Instead of doing that, I think they spent the money on winging stuff because it was newer and there was stuff happening. So they let their windsurfing stuff stay. I personally think that will get a renew later, because I don't think a lot of those guys that have gone to winging have not left windsurfing. They just either choose to do it in specific conditions, or they kind of little bit of playing away and maybe have got bored of winging and coming back to windsurfing. So I think that's interesting, but I definitely think windsurfing felt a bit of a hit from people buying winging stuff and not buying windsurfing stuff.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. Sometimes I think about it with windsurfing, because everyone says, oh, windsurfing is not like it was in the 80s or whatever. But if you added up all the kites, like say you traveled around the world and you just lumped kiting, winging, and windsurfing all in the basket of wind, we'll just call it all windsurfing because it's related to the wind and you're on the water, then there's plenty of people on the water doing it. You know, like, all added up, it's probably as healthy as it's ever been. But unfortunately, it's all been cut up into these different little segments.
But you've also got to imagine how easy it is to set up a brand at the moment. You know, to set up a brand back in the day, you needed so many things. You needed infrastructure, you needed this, you needed that. Now you could set up a mini brand and have it running out your garage and just doing it to your mates almost. Like, see, I get emails all the time saying, do you want to have a wing? Do you want to? I'm not saying it's good quality and whether people are going that way, but if you look at how many brands are out there, especially in winging, it is bonkers. So even though winging is gone well, I don't know how many's making money in the winging business, because they're just absolutely brand after brand. I think, I don't know.
I'm sure it is hard. Off topic, does anyone know if custom FPV drones, like the ones at the Olympics, were used at the Maui Pro that's just happened, like the classic DJI? I can answer this one. There was one FPV drone. You guys probably noticed it. If you saw it, there was a drone that was kind of buzzing around the sailors. It gets pretty close to the actual sailor. It has a different sort of image. So there was one. I think that was the first time I've actually seen one at a windsurf event. I don't know if it added a lot. Like, it's sort of weird with those FPV drones, because if the person knows,
I don't like it.
It's too erratic for some reason.
It does my nut. I don't find it comfortable to watch. I'm like, I do like a more steadier shot.
Yeah, and
it's nice for sort of. Sorry, and nice for highlights and getting a little bit of different. But in terms of live viewing, for me personally, I'm not a massive fan.
Yeah, I think for anyone out there who's got a drone, or for that matter, might be filming events, I think one thing that I'm learning, and I'm constantly learning with the drone thing, is that with the modern drones, you know, you've got they've got different lenses on them. You know, like you can have 3 times, 7 times optical zoom lens. And I think we should also not just treat drones as it has to be moving all the time. Think of it as a camera with an unlimited,
with amazing tripod.
Tripod.
Yeah.
Like, so you basically, like at a keeper, if it'd be cool to have 2-3 drones, and you literally just have one parked just down line a bit, looking back up, zoom it in 3 times, and that's just like having a cameraman there, and it can just sit there, just looking at that angle. so we should also look at drones like that. They don't always have to be moving all the time.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Agreed.
So that's Sharewave says, Ben, keep your kids away from horses and ponies because you'll be lost.
I've actually took notice of that. I've put them off horses at all points. I've tried to explain they're very dangerous animals.
Oh, they are. Actually,
they are, exactly. I fell off them when I was
young. Dude, I've met quite a few people that have had bad injuries with horses. I stay away from. Here's your mate again, your best mate. Brand should sponsor sports, but I really believe they should not only be the sponsors. Majority of sponsorship should come from outside, like fashion, cosmetics, and beauty. Oh, he's come around, man. Okay, so well, this is kind of what we were talking about. So I think he's anyway,
I think we're on the same page. I don't know.
No, that's fine.
It feels like sure. I don't know, but
he might have misinterpreted you. But I think this is one thing I'm learning, related to this windsurf event that I organized. When I first started it, when I first started, I thought, okay, I'm going to contact the windsurf industry and get them excited by my event. Well, I very quickly realized that you're starting at the bottom of the tree when it comes to resources. You're basically going to the bottom feeders part, sorry for, you know what I'm saying? Like compared to businesses that have 100,000 employees, you know what I mean? Exactly. When it comes to resources.
Yeah. What you're asking for is a big percentage compared to someone who's got a big company.
Exactly. $1,000 for a windsurf brand or a windsurf shop is a significant amount of money versus a mining company or, or whatever. So, so basically, I have very quickly I just had to, but maneuver my attention more away so much from the windsurf industry into businesses that actually have cash. And that's where you have to go. And obviously in the golden era of windsurfing and the big events, what we all know it was sponsored not so much by windsurf brands, but by Peter Stuyvesant Travel, as we all know, as the cigarettes, or New West, or whatever it was. Like there's obviously big businesses. So it's ultimately, I think.
Well, can I just say something?
Yeah,
there was an eye-opening moment, and I hate saying stuff like this, but it's just true. Maui, best windsurfers in the world, competing a Hookeeper. There's been shit weather for ages. Maui, Hookeeper looked great. Did you see the beach? No one.
Did I see the? Oh, okay. You mean just no one sitting on the beach, or
no one?
It's been like that for ages, hasn't it?
But I'm just saying, it's a reminder. We are a small sport. We're a cool as fuck sport. And it's, it is for me one of the best sports, and it's got so much potential. Sorry. But in terms of on-site spectators,
you're talking about the spectators. Sorry, I thought you were just talking about people just laying on the beach. Okay, you're talking about the spectators.
There was just no one.
Yeah. No,
maybe they were all on the hood, but you would imagine, you should be able to create. The thing is, and I know what happens, they haven't had wind for ages. So any windsurfers on the island are probably off windsurfing at one of the other beaches.
Well,
because windsurfing is a participation sport.
Yeah, that's interesting because I remember digitizing some of these classic windsurf videos. There's one from the 80s. I think it was the Aloha Classic 1986 or something. And unfortunately, the camera doesn't go around enough, but there's a commentator. I mean, you do see glimpses of the beach, and it's like just covered with cars and shit everywhere and tents. But the commentator basically says, oh, and there's Craig Masonville and the 30,000 people are cheering or something. Like he'll just throw out a number like that.
Actor,
and you go,
model.
Holy Jesus, there's 30, and they're not throwing that. He's not saying it because there's 500 people on the beach. There's actually thousands of people on there. So now you go there and there might be 50, 100, or something like that. So it's interesting, but I guess it's also a reflection of where the sport's at, and it's people's understanding of it or appreciation for it as well, and that's something that obviously, hopefully can change for the positive. Again, I think this event though, I was pretty positive. I thought they did a really good job. It looked good, and hopefully that it'll sort of start to build a bit of a momentum behind it. You know, I thought it was cool. Okay, moving on just slightly because the comments they're coming in thick and fast. God, where are we? VPR Wave. I really like the ad campaign for 1-star events yesterday. It is sexy to have a fun event. Windsurfer has shown the way. Okay. Oh, yeah. The 1-star events. Oh, the ad campaign. I
guess that was an ad. Yeah, I never actually noticed it, but that makes sense.
Oh, okay. Honestly, I didn't. I'm just reading this now, so I don't pick it. But he's referring to at Windsurfer as my YouTube handle. So sexy fun event. Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to do over here in Geraldton is bring fun. And I'm not the only one. There's lots of people out there, but over here we have had a history of more, I guess, serious events. So yeah, just bringing fun back into windsurfing because that's how I remember it growing up. You know, you turn up at the lake and people are on One Design boards having a barbecue and people are just having a great old time, and that's what kicked off windsurfing and seems to be working with this wave rally event. You know, people go there, just have a good time. Like they just literally go there and leave and go, that was a great weekend or week, whatever it was. And we didn't kill each other because of a 0.2 score or something. You know? So, yeah, that's cool. Thanks for doing that. Here we go. Vivo Wave. They talked about money a lot during the recent Winter Olympics. A lot of Olympians do have side jobs to finance training camps. It's nothing new.
No, I totally agree.
Totally. This is. I think all these issues we're talking about are not exclusive to windsurfing. There's a lot of sports out there that are grappling with this. The world has changed. It's changing world.
I have got zero problem with people working. I mean, I am not Marsilio Brown. I am not one of the top guys. I've had some good results in my time, but I always treated windsurfing as a job. But my job on the side of it was media. So that is why I'm doing what I'm doing now. And with Windsurfing TV, it morphed into Windsurfing TV. But I was always, as a rider, writing articles, taking pictures, you know, doing the graft on the side. I was never just like, not saying Ricardo is like this, but let's say a Ricardo who basically was just good enough to just go windsurfing. And, you know, back in the day when Neil Pride JP were throwing money and doing stuff, you know, that's how he made money. People took pictures and they wanted him. You know, I was having to make people want me. I was giving them easy access to stuff to get them to use stuff from me and try and create that, which has put me in good stead moving, you know, as I got older in life. But it is interesting because it's not a new thing. No one's saying it is, I don't think. But the reality is, like, you have to love windsurfing to be a professional windsurfer now. You're not in it for the money. You know, like there are sports out there where you can be talented at the sport, not like the sport, but it doesn't matter because there's money and you can just do it as almost like a job. Whereas windsurfing, you have to love it. If you don't love it, you're better off just to get a job. You're not doing it to earn money. There's just no chance in the world.
Which I actually think makes
not a bad thing.
Cool. Yeah, I like that about windsurfing because you're basically then dealing with people that really are there for the right reasons, if you know, right or whatever. But you know what I mean?
But there will be. I was going to say there will be a few bitter people moving out of that era where they had a lot more money. Because it's like having a job, right? When you get better at a job, in theory, you get paid more money. You know, you get better, you get more experience, you move up the company, you have your own business, whatever, you make more money. In windsurfing, and I was speaking to Crowther, like a photographer, about this, you know, it's a terrible job, really, because you do all this work, you get this level of expertise where you're at the top of your field, but the money doesn't go up, let's say. You know, like, and it's quite a depressing thing in theory, like to some people, because they feel they get to these standards where they would have got this certain amount of money before, but the industry has gone down. So it doesn't matter you got better. Doesn't matter that you've done these results. It doesn't matter that your profile is better. The money hasn't necessarily gone up with you going up. And that can be very difficult for some people to handle. So that is why well, I think that's why it's difficult at the moment for a few people.
Definitely. Yeah. No. I actually I do feel for a lot of the athletes coming through because, like we're sitting here in our comfortable homes watching people sail in Maui and they've had to travel there often with their own money. And, it looks kind of fun. You think, oh yeah, let's get out in the heat. But when you're actually involved in events, it's, what it's like. You got to go to airports. You got to lug the gear around. There's a lot of faffing around for their 5 minutes of fame. Like,
and maybe you don't get 5 minutes of fame.
Well, whatever. When I say 5 minutes of fame, just their heat. Like they get to go on a heat, and then next thing they know, they get wiped out by a wave, and they spend the next 15 minutes swimming. Like, and that's it. Like, yeah. So I do feel it's not an easy gig. It's not an easy gig to try to make that work. So a lot of respect for it. Yeah.
But also it's not just riders, it's shops as well. Like I'm saying, there's some bitter shops out there. They made a killing in the early days without doing much. And now maybe they're doing a lot more, but they're not seeing the same turnover. And you see like the shops that are doing well are the ones that are just still motivated, still pushing there, but they're having to grind. And that is windsurfing at the moment. And that's what I'm saying. Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
But it's not just windsurfing, it's just the world we live in.
The world, exactly.
Like everything's become way more competitive. Like it's not, like people in Australia, they say, oh, hey, well, back in 1974, you could buy a house for $15,000 and now that same house is $5 million. Like it's basically life is harder in a lot of aspects. Isn't it? It's more competition. It's more people. It's tricky. Like, yeah.
I think the internet has said we've heard enough of these two losers.
Oh yeah. No, but I think it's challenging because when you go through life, it's also accepting the reality of what's going on. Sometimes you need, you know what I mean? Like you sort of go, oh shit, this is the new reality. Like even this AI stuff, it's like coming up, and you're sort of there going, well, what does this mean now?
I hate it.
Well, you know what I mean? And you think, okay, well, I guess this is inevitable? Like,
yeah.
I guess I was watching a video of this robot. It was in some factory, and it's literally sorting through, like all the post, right? It's literally, it looks like a human robot, and it's literally picking up packages, looking at it, and going, oh, that goes over there, and that goes over there. And then someone wrote a comment and goes, oh, so does this mean that even though we've lost a job there, that there'll be at least a few jobs made to look after the robot, like servicing? And then someone wrote a comment and goes, no, because other robots will be surfing.
It's terrible. I honestly think that's another slippery slope we're on at the moment. Oh,
yeah, I know. So then you sort of just go, well, what if we think it's weird and tricky now? What's it going to be like in 10, 20 years? I mean, I don't know. It's interesting times. It's nothing quite like it, is it? So Wade Perry, maybe there should be no prize money in windsurfing, forcing everyone to have a real job, and then they will have money to travel to events. Just a thought. I mean, it's virtually that right now because it's not like the prize money is that amazing that it's
once
really
you spread the prize money out. There's not many people making much money off prize money. I mean, a couple of few.
Yeah, if you win.
I mean, for Bernd Roediger, like this is probably the best event to win because he hasn't had to travel. But you got to live in Maui, which is probably expensive.
Ideal for him.
But you imagine if you don't live in Maui, which a lot of them don't, and you've got to travel to Maui twice in 1 year.
Well,
and do the event and pay all the car and the house.
You're not making money, that's for sure.
Wow, man, it's a big expense. Two Maui trips. This is why Marino Gill's not there. That's why a few others, I guess. Could be wrong, but.
Well, the reality of it is that if you win, you probably be doing well just to break even on your costs to get there.
Yeah, if you're lucky. I don't even know if you break even.
Well, whatever. I was saying you're lucky if you have to win, right? So I mean, think about that. Like it's
crazy. Absolutely.
So maybe the brands could offer people who want to support a rider the chance to donate money to them and in return get deals on new gear. That way you support the brand and the rider you like.
In theory, that's what you do.
Yeah.
you know, you pay the brand, and in theory they pay the rider. But I like your way of thinking. You're kind of missing out the brand. Say, look, we'll just pay the rider. Then there's no arguments, and you give us a good deal. That's quite an interesting concept.
Maybe the brand's got to offer people who want. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. We're getting to the end of this. David wins. A lot of guys around me that wing now will break out the old windsurf gear when it gets windy. Yeah, look, if that's generally the consensus, is that when the conditions are less than ideal for windsurfing, you go winging, and when it's good for windsurfing, you go windsurfing. It's interesting watching what's going on overseas. I'm in a bit of a bubble here because, you know, I hear about, everyone's going winging or kiting, but here in Geraldton, honestly, like, I've often done it. I've gone down to the beach in the middle of our season, January, say, on a classic 25, 30 knot day, and I look out in the water and I'll literally count how many windsurfers are out there, and there'll be 60 windsurfers, five wingers, and 4 kites. Like that's they're the numbers. Like, it's not like there's.
But you live in such a good place for windsurfing.
No, don't get me wrong. I know this is not normal, but it's interesting that obviously the reason I'm telling the story is because I live in a great windsurfing area.
Yeah.
So people are not bothering going winging as much because they're like, why would I go winging here? It's better for windsurfing. So it's obviously very, very much related to the conditions you're dealing with. Yeah, so very, very fortunate here because of that. And also, look, this is the final comment from Billy.
We wrap it up because I've got to go.
You got to go. Billy, has anyone mentioned the price of fuel that affects our current ability to travel, be that by car or get to the coast? It's a huge issue in Australia at the moment. I think Australia's probably got some of the most expensive fuel. Well, actually, it's probably not maybe as expensive as Europe. I don't know. But we've gone from $1.80 a litre barely a month ago to now $3.20, $3.30. So it's every day. It's this huge thing over here. So that will be interesting to see how long that lasts, because obviously if airfares are expensive and it's expensive to drive to the beach, then it will affect. Although I will say that as a community, I'm not saying this is everybody, but Ben and I have often talked about the demographics of windsurfers, and they tend to be 40s plus, professionals, people with some disposable income. So you'll probably find that as a generalization, windsurfers will be lesser affected than probably some other things. But maybe that's my view on it. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's gone up, but it hasn't gone up enough to like
make a huge difference, you think?
Yeah, I mean, it makes a difference, and it's annoying, but it's not like it's not going to turn you bankrupt. It's just going to cost you more money, which is a pain. Just eat less food.
Yeah. Look, there's comments keeps coming in, but anyway, thanks for that, everybody. I hope you also enjoyed the live stream. I thought it was very positive for windsurfing, and there's quite a lot of events this year. So, God, Benny, if we're doing this every time there's an event.
No, we're not. I've got to go. It's windy, actually. It's windy outside. And we've got the kids. It's Easter holidays, so the missus is probably absolutely cursing me right now. So I'm about to go back to a house full of 3 women after talking about ladies on the podcast.
Oh, God. The real sugar daddy. Cool. All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for joining in. I thought this was actually quite interesting. Bit of a segue, but and congratulations to Marine Hunter and Bernd Roediger and myself for winning the
God, we knew we were going to finish with that. There's probably people forgot that you won the predictions. I'm just going to make it clear. Paul did the best predictions, picked the winner in both, and JC did, to be fair, as well. So it was a good comp. You two, we should maybe keep tallies. That's what we should do. Let's keep points for the season. Maybe I'll do something on Windsurfing TV if we've got enough. Keep a running tally. So if you're not on the website, join the website. Get your beer money linked to your website profile. We've got loads of cool stuff going on the website. But maybe I'm going to come up with maybe you're going to be top of the leaderboard for the predictions.
So how many people on this leaderboard?
Well, let's just do it for whoever's here. Whoever put their name in for this one. Or we just maybe we'll get rid of this one and we start it again at the next event.
No. Oh, look at this. We've got another windsurfer here.
Oh, congrats, Paul. Awesome. I'm winning the event forecast.
Give me something.
No, but it would be, I think it would be quite cool to do like an official, they do it in football a lot, but we could have like pros that give their kind of predictions. And then obviously the pundits give their predictions. And then we also have the viewers that give their predictions. And then we'll kind of collate the into some sort of table. But you are top of the league. So
are you going to do this before you commentate my wave rally videos or after? Is this okay?
I'm going to make a bloody send it Sunday now. I could have made it.
Oh, come on, Benny. Get your priorities straight.
We've got these kids, these bloody kids. You don't know what it's like. 3 years old and one. Trust me, it's a nightmare. I love it.
All right. Well, we'll end it here, and I'll spend the next hour or so just creating Insta clips of you saying tits and asses all the time. So that's good.
It's going to be cancelled this time next week anyway. I didn't say anything bad anyway. Just don't take me out of context, you bastard.
All right, guys. See you next time.
It's that time of the week again. Sit back, relax, we got the brain of band. No need to stress in the house, is Van Bellen. The game is windsurfing, you can't yell them or tell them. We get the news, the views, the win biz. The brand's gear, tips plus the world's best quiz. The cars, PWA. We're professionals without the pay. There's nothing in pole dancing that we won't chat. From tandem boards to a windsurfing cat. It's your one-stop shop for a laugh and listen. Tune in each week or you'll be doing the missing.